Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful if you do that. Thanks. By the way, I also have another Naruto and Luffy fanfiction channel. If you are interested, link is in the description. Koby's Choice by Sword of the Gods, Axe Hand. Morgan single-handedly shattered Koby's faith in the Marines, breaking his dreams. If a pirate is the first one to ever show you kindness in a world run by a corrupt justice, who do you follow? Well, the future king of the pirates, of course. I don't own anything. Adios.
Despite the rain, the ocean was on fire, literally. That was the first thing the Straw Hats noticed as they approached the next island they'd found in the New World. The raging flames bathed the surroundings in a horrible, red glow, and the temperature steadily rose as they got closer, an erupting volcano not only diving this fact home, but also reminding some of them of their less than stellar fight at Seacon Island against the Neo Marines. Every member of the crew, no matter their experience with the New World, stared in awe. The whole island's on fire. Luffy laughed. That's so cool. Cool, cool, Ace echoed from his father's shoulder, Luffy keeping his head tilted so the water that ran over his hat wouldn't fall on Ace even though his son was dressed in a red raincoat. Wait, not cool. You don't think so, Ace? Not cool, the son of the captain and navigator insisted, pointing at the flames. Fire's hot, so it's not cool. Well, you can't fault his logic, Sanji chuckled, leaning against one of Sunny's walls. Oh, Ace, Nami sung, the young mother dressed in a bikini top under a sheer cover-up. She didn't seem bothered by the rain as it dripped off her wide-brimmed sun hat. What's it called when something produces heat? Hot, Luffy suggested. Exotherm nail, the toddler answered. And making cold is endotherm nail, 'cause it goes in. Exothermal and endothermal, that's right, Nami cheered, stepping over to nuzzle her cheek against Ace's. You're so smart, Ace. I'll make a navigational prodigy out of you yet. Do not forget he is also my student, Robin said. I'll mold him into one of the foremost archaeologists to ever sail the seas. Under my guidance, he'll have the cooking know-how to woo every woman in the world, Sanji piped up. Excuse you, Zoro growled. He's becoming a swordsman, not some rinky-dink cook. The hell did you just say to me, Mosshead? I just said Ace will follow in my footsteps, not yours. Pervy swirly brow. Do I need to say it slower so your tiny brain can follow? The two crashed their foreheads together, growling. Under my tutelage, Ace will learn every instrument he can touch, Brooke put in, ignoring the duo. I'm teaching him, too, Frankie said. I'll make him a super little grease monkey after my own mechanical, cola-powered heart. You can leave anything long-range to me, Usopp offered, jabbing a thumb into his chest. They won't be able to touch him if he nails them at a distance first. I've got dibs on the chemistry and art lessons, Grace smiled, dressed in her own rainbow raincoat. I guess I'll help with swordsmanship and ethics, Coby muttered, his outfit a pair of suspenders over a blue button-up visible under a clear poncho. Grace had finagled him into a salmon bow tie, citing complementary color theory. Mostly the latter, I bet. Why learn from me when the one who taught me is still here? He's already learning medicine, Chopper said. I'll teach, I am. Jin began, only to trail off. He was dressed in his brown robes once more, the rain turning into steam as it sizzled upon contact with his electric body. I don't know what I'll teach, I am, but I'll teach, I am something. Frankie could cover it, but I want to teach him carpentry and ship repair, Mary offered in her default white raincoat. Who better to learn that from than a classically trained wood fairy? Sanji can teach him cooking, but I'll make sure he actually knows what women want in a man, Amy grinned. She was dressed in a long sundress with images of roses and ladybugs working their way from the bottom hem on a yellow background. Her parasol had been replaced with a sturdy umbrella that kept the rain at bay. He'll thank me when he's older and knows what it means to be a lady killer. After all, a prince needs to know how to play the game. Hey, Luffy yelled, bringing the cross conversations of his crew to a stop. He's my kid, so I have to teach him a lot, okay? I'm first in line. Luffy, calm down, Nami sighed, patting his cheek. Ace will learn a lot from you, but you can't teach him anything that involves thinking. Remember the last time you tried to think really hard? You almost overheated. But I had to teach him something, the young father insisted. He'll think I'm stupid otherwise. Collectively, the crew blinked, refusing to say anything. Guys, Luffy questioned. Also, Zoro, Nami said, turning so Luffy couldn't look her in the eye. You will not be training Ace until he's older. You started your training at 5 or something, so you have to wait until Ace is that old. Until then, you can let Coby take care of it. But, Zoro tried to complain while Sanji mocked him. The verde rounded on the blonde, swords and shoes flashing through the air. So about the burning island, Usopp began, only for a wail to come from inside the dining room. Considering the whole crew was on the deck, this was odd enough to catch their attention. Coby was the first to react, shoving the door open and making his way to the transponder snail that was crying and waving its arms. Water dripped from the crew onto the floor as they gathered inside. "What's wrong with him, Coby?" Luffy questioned. "Is he sick? Hungry? Tummy ache?" "This is a distress signal," the Rosset answered, his hand hovering over the microphone. "Someone nearby is in enough trouble for them to call for help from anyone around." "It's likely a trick," Robin offered. "More than half of all distress signals are traps set by the Navy to lure in gullible or opportunistic pirates. I opt we should leave it be." "We can't," Coby argued. "Sure, over half of them are traps, but the rest aren't. We can't just ignore someone in need." "Correction, you can't ignore someone in need," Sanji pointed out. "We are infamous pirates known for leaving destruction in our wake. And you're willing to feed anyone who's hungry, even if you have to fight them afterward," the Zone rebuffed. "I'm not the only altruistic one here." "Touché," the blonde admitted. "It's fine," Luffy said. "If it's a trap, we'll fight our way out. And if it's a real distress call, then we'll have made new friends." "What a positive outlook," Brook chuckled. "It gives me an idea for a new song. Friend or foe, who's to know, until the future comes." Coby answered the snail. "Help us," a man yelled over the call, the snail's eyes leaking tears that almost seemed to crystallize as they fell. "Help us, please, he's cutting us down one after another and nothing's stopping him." "Where are you?" Coby questioned. "Who's attacking you?" "The samurai won't stop," the man cried, but the crew couldn't tell if he was responding to the questions or not. "It's like the cold doesn't affect him. We need boss. He's killed half of us already." "Where are you?" Coby repeated more firmly. "What island?" We're on the island of Punk Hazard. Help us, please." No. Wait. The snail coughed blood and let out a final gasp before going back to sleep, ending the call. The pirates stared at it, slowly comprehending what that meant. Luffy, conscious of the youngest of their number, bundled Ace against his chest in a gentle, yet firm, hug in case he understood the morbid end of the call. "Well, I guess that finishes that." Usopp nodded sagely. "He doesn't need saving anymore, so he can leave." "Did he say samurai?" Amy questioned, earning nods from her crewmates. "Do you know what that is?" Jin asked. "I've never of it before, eh?" "It's a special type of warrior from a closed-off island," the blonde answered. "See, I spent the last 2 years in the territory of one of the emperors and I heard her complaining about the others on a regular basis. One of them, the Beast King, Kaido, is based in the country of Wano where the samurai are from." Rayleigh-sensei mentioned Wano once or twice, Coby commented. "Not much other than it's a land that produces insanely strong warriors. Warriors so strong that not even the world government wants to put forward the effort to open the island. So there's a strong samurai from a closed-off island. Why is he here killing the inhabitants?" "Does he have to be here?" Frankie asked. "I mean, we can't exactly super-track the call." "No, they're nearby," Mary put in. "Distress calls have a very short range. That samurai has to be on the island." "We've got another problem, though," Nami said, holding up the device on her wrist. "That island isn't registering to any of the needles on the log pose. For all intents and purposes, it doesn't exist." "Clearly it does," Grace rebuffed with a wave of her hand. "We can feel the heat from here." "But the guy on the call said the cold wasn't slowing the samurai down," Sanji pointed out. "Something isn't sitting right." "We've got a mystery on our hands," Luffy said with a widening grin. "Sanji, make me a pirate lunch. I want to go on the island." Me too, Ace cheered, only for Nami to take him from Luffy's arms. "Oh no you don't," she scolded. "You can go on that island after your father and some of the others have checked it out and taken care of anything dangerous. Until then, you'll be on the ship with the rest of us." "But mommy." "No buts, Ace." The boy deflated, pouting. "Yes, mommy. Much as I would like to continue our lessons in Poneglyphic," Robin began, "I would like to be on the scouting team. The archaeological clues thereupon could provide helpful information and I happen to be the only one of our number in possession of said expertise required." "I'm going, too," Zoro put in. "If there's a powerful swordsman running around, I'm not passing up a chance to fight him." "I want to go, too," Mary called. "You can't go," Usopp insisted. "That island is on fire." "I'll be fine, Uncle Usopp. My heart's made of atom wood, so it won't burn unless I fall in the fire or something. If you're going to an island that could burn you away in moments, then I'm going to make sure you come back." "I'm not a little girl, Uncle Usopp. I can handle myself." "Mommy, I want to go," Ace whined. "I said no," Nami answered, Ace setting his mouth in a defiant frown. "But Mary gets to go 'cause her dad's going?" "No fair, Daddy's going, so I should get to, too." "Usopp isn't Mary's dad, no matter how much he wants to be," Nami told him, Usopp quite literally biting his tongue at the accusation. "On top of that, only a small group is going on the island. The rest of us will stay here on the sunny. If they find something super interesting, then we'll join them. If they don't, then it's a boring island, and you don't want to go on boring islands, do you?" "No," the toddler sighed. "Oh, I know," Grace clapped. "How about you and me go do some coloring, Ace?" "You and I," Robin idly corrected. Grace ignored her. We can make pretty pictures of all the cool stuff we hope the others find on the island. As small children were prone to do, Ace's mood shifted instantly. Okay. Billy, go with them, please, the navigator requested, the bird saluting. Nami allowed the artist to take Ace's hand and lead the boy and bird deeper into the ship, presumably into the lounge where she'd claimed a corner for all her supplies and where she hung all her paintings. That crisis averted, Nami released a breath she didn't realize she was holding as the door closed. Alright, so who's going on the island? Luffy, Zoro, Mary, Usopp, myself, and Coby, Robin answered. Why's Pinky going? Amy blinked. Of course Coby would accompany us. He is the sole member of our crew with a powerful savior complex. We could not deny him a chance to rescue those in need. Thanks, the Rosset blinked. I mean, I was planning on going, so I guess this saves us some time, but are we forgetting that the ocean is on fire? How are we supposed to get there? You can leave that to me, Nami grinned. She blinked, waving a hand through the air. The rain stopped. That makes things easier. Sunny, Mary called. Start setting up the ladybug for us. The ship rumbled an affirmative, Mary and the rest of the scouting group making their way into the bowels of the ship. Frankie followed them, deciding he needed to check all the ladybug's systems before they set out. Sanji stepped over to the kitchen to work on the meals that had been requested while the rest of the crew, and Kaku, stepped back onto the deck, the heat from the flames hitting them like a wall. The temperature had risen with the end of the rain shower. Nami pulled out her Kleem attack, pressing a few buttons on it to make sure everything was properly calibrated. Well, Chopper began. How are you going to get them through the fire? Through the fire? Nami questioned. No way, there's too much heat for that. It'll be easier to get them over the fire. The rain stopped, so that makes things a little easier. How are you going to manage that? Brooke asked. Watch and learn, everyone, and I'll show you why I'm the best navigator in the world. Milky Road. She swung her weapon forward. A mass of white cloud coming from its end. The cloud spread as it went, widening until it was 10 feet wide when it reached the water. It skimmed over the surface for several feet before rising, arcing over the raging flames until it disappeared over the other side. Whoa, the others blinked, a number of them politely clapping. Are you sure that reaches the island? Amy asked. No idea, Nami shrugged. If it doesn't, Luffy can figure something out, he always does. I guess that's fair. The ship rumbled beneath them, the soldier dock system opening. The ladybug exited, packed with the expedition team, as Luffy's call of amazement at the Milky Road reached those on deck. A sense of pride welled in Nami's chest at his wonder. The ladybug turned, angling onto the path of clouds. We're off, Luffy called, several of the crew noting that Coby was driving from the passenger seat since their captain was fully turned around, waving his hands. We'll call later, okay? Have fun, Nami called back with a wave. That seemed to be enough for the group, their smaller boat cresting the Milky Road. The Sunny disappeared beyond the flames. Luffy sitting in his seat and automatically pulling out the lunch Sanji had made. What, already? Usopp questioned only to see that Robin, Zoro, and Mary had all done the same thing. Seriously. I'm hungry, Luffy said by way of explanation. You're always hungry. This mollusk is excellent, Robin commented. Oh dear, it seems Sanji overstuffed my lunch but undercut your portion, Zoro. He must have been distracted. Allow me to correct his mistake. What are you doing? The Verde demanded, the woman using her chopsticks to place parts of her own meal in the empty sections of the swordsman's. Her words were neither incorrect nor a lie, for Sanji had filled her box more than her companions other than Mary, who only had a large salad. Would you rather I feed them to you myself? The archaeologist questioned, touching her lips with the ends of her eating utensils. Take the hint, sensei, Coby hissed, but no such thing occurred. Zoro turned away, his jaw set. Are you blushing? Mary grinned. That's the fire, Zoro waved off. It's hot. As if to accent his words, a drop of sweat rolled down his forehead. We're almost there, Usopp announced. Looks like the waters next to the coast aren't burning, so that's good. I still can't get over the idea of burning water, Mary commented. I mean, it would be one thing if there was a layer of something floating on the water, but nope. The water is literally on fire. Must be the result of a devil fruit, Coby said. What sort of devil fruit could do this? Usopp questioned. No idea, but I can't think of any other explanation. Wah, hey, Captain, that's my lunch. Luffy didn't respond, his mouth stuffed with what had been in Coby's box. The Zone sighed, passing Luffy the rest of his meal. I wasn't hungry anyway. Thanks, Coby. Shaking his head, Coby directed the ladybug to the shoreline where they found a portion of land only slightly molten. Beaching the boat, Luffy and Zoro pulled it further ashore so it wouldn't float away while the rest had a massive gate. This is it, Robin said, studying the slightly melted sign bearing the name Punk Hazard. Two triangular signs were attached to the gate on either side, one holding the logo of the Marines and the other the sign of the world government. Well, we came this far only to get blocked off, Usopp shrugged quickly. That's too bad. Let's head back to the ship and leave this place behind us. We can't leave until we've dealt with that samurai, Coby insisted. Come on, Usopp argued. This place has the Marines logo, so those guys that called must work for them. That call was a trap. Who cares? Zoro grinned, Mary matching his look tooth for tooth as she punched her palm. This place is too interesting to just leave after getting here. Yeah, Luffy agreed. I gotta bring Ace a souvenir since he didn't get to come. Have you forgotten there's a gate blocking our path in Terabang?
What gate? Usopp turned to see that Zoro had already cut a triangle out of the base of the chain link, the man student studying it.
What's got your attention, shrimp? The Verde asked. Not a shrimp anymore, Coby responded automatically. Anyway, this metal was on the verge of melting on its own, so the knife through hot butter analogy is only too accurate, 6 out of 10. That deserves at least an 8, Zoro argued. Hot or not, that's some thick metal, and it was made by the world government. Doesn't matter who made it. I'd rank that feat at a 7, Robin offered. It was very quiet. Why are you all like this? Usopp bemoaned, quickly chasing after them into the burning hellscape. Hey, wait, don't just leave me behind. Geez, it's hot, Coby panted, following Luffy, Zoro, and Robin's example in stripping off his outer layers. Coby left his suspenders hanging by his legs, draping his shirt over his shoulder. Robin, luckily enough, was wearing a simple floral patterned shirt and a pair of shorts under her dress. That's better. If we're all doing it, Mary said, unbuttoning her raincoat. Are you wearing anything under that? Usopp demanded. What does that matter, because you're a girl? Actually, I'm a ship, in the shape of a girl. Fine, the Clabouterman grunted. Robin, do you mind if I borrow your dress? I'm sure it's cooler than my raincoat. Of course, Mary, the archaeologist responded, offering the girl her discarded clothing. Mary took it and stepped behind a piece of rubble, exiting with the green dress on a moment later. My, it looks wonderful on you. My boots are gonna melt, she whined. I should have worn sandals. No point crying about it now, Zoro grunted, his lone eyes studying their burning surroundings. Besides, aren't your boots a part of you or something? That's not the point, Mosshead. She. Luffy laughed. The group came to an overlook. The land below them covered in destroyed buildings. Whoa, what happened here? Give me a moment, Captain, Robin said, studying the wreckage from afar. I believe this used to be a research facility. Research? Like looking for something you found and then lost again? Really? Coby blinked. Nah, I'm joking, Luffy laughed. Though I do think it's silly that we call trying to find new things no one knows research. Oh, Goda, Mary swore. Captain Luffy made a play on words. Fatherhood's made him smarter. We're doomed, Zoro agreed. We were doomed to begin with, Usopp cried. Yeah, but that doom just spread to the rest of the world, Coby added. Our impending demises aside, I believe my initial theory was correct, Robin grinned. There are no civilian structures among the ruins. Therefore, this was strictly a marine outpost. Whatever happened here, however, was devastating enough for them to abandon the island. They must have swept the incident under the rug since word of it never got out. Cool, but what now? Coby asked. Now we explore and look for clues, Luffy ordered, hopping over the cliff's edge and sliding down. Mary, Zoro, and Robin followed without hesitation. Usopp glanced over the edge, shaking. Coby sighed, growing into his armor mode. He grabbed Usopp and curled in on himself, rolling forward until he bounced down the cliff. Hey, Luffy yelled as Coby and Usopp reached the bottom. Say something if you're not dead yet. Samurai, Mary all but echoed. We've got a swordsman that wants to fight you, come out wherever you are. Coby, back in his human mode, felt his fingers twitch as the heat bugged him, the straps of his sword sheaths rubbing across his bare skin, and he lamented not carrying his swords at his waist like his teacher did. This is still a terrible idea, Usopp muttered, his words lightly obstructed. Zoro glanced back at him. Don't yell for the killer, he'll find us. You're eating your lunch now? The older swordsman asked. This is stress eating, the sniper growled, prompting a giggle from Robin and a laugh from Mary. Whoa, check that out, Luffy called, pointing up at a burning structure that looked like a giant skull as if from a monster like Oars. Wind whistled through the eyeholes in great bursts, fanning the flames to grow before letting them recede again. That thing is massive, Ace would love it. Captain, I don't think your son would be able to handle the heat, Mary pointed out. She paused. Does anyone else hear that? Hear what? Coby blinked. A crash crashed behind them, the crew spinning around to see what had caused it. Their eyes landed on a massive, red creature, a giant tongue licking its razor teeth and wings extended to either side. Black ridges ran down its back like a trail of shark fins, their dark color contrasting with its red scales, and a tail lashed the air behind it. 2 white horns extended from the top of its head and its tongue lolled out of the side of its mouth. It raised said head and roared before turning its red eyes on them. A dragon in Terabang, Usopp cried. Those are real in Terabang, Luffy gasped. Awesome. That's got to be something else, Zoro denied. Real dragons are just fairy tales. Look at it, Robin stated. What else could it be? It looks exactly like the legends say. I want to fight it, Mary grinned. Besides, it's not the first dragon we've seen. Koby's a dragon. The zone among them blinked. I mean, with my fruit, technically? It's gonna breathe fire. Luffy warned the group, splitting in half as a pillar of flame launched from the dragon's mouth. Woo! The captain cheered, the fire exploding when it impacted rubble. Coby rolled as he hit the ground, Mary and Robin at his sides. The dragon turned away from them, biting at what they presumed to be one of their companions that had gone left rather than right. You got your wish, Mary, Coby growled, drawing Hishokusha and Imono. Got a plan to go with it? Yeah, the Klabouterman nodded. Hit it, till it stops. Really? Robin questioned. All my intellect and you propose that? Simple plans rarely fail and have a lot of wiggle room, Mary said by way of explanation. That's not a plan, Coby argued as the monster started to turn their direction. That's barely an idea and closer to a concept. It's the framework, we just need to fill in the middle a little as we go. It's a Luffy plan. We need to not get eaten. The zone snapped, scooping Robin into his arms and jumping backward as the dragon's snout carved a divot into the old pavement where he'd been standing. Mary ran in from the side, smashing her horns into the dragon's eye. He recoiled, bellowing into the sky with a cry of pain and rage. Dropping Robin off, Coby rushed forward while its neck was exposed, shifting into his slasher mode as he did so. He jumped into a spin. Needle twister, his swords, elbow growths, and barbed tail cut long, shallow lines into the dragon's throat, resulting in something one might find after trying to cuddle with an angry cat. The dragon whipped its head around, smacking its side into Coby. He went flying, smashing into and through an old wall. Coby! Mary yelled, guys, I heard it talk, other side. You're suggesting this creature is sentient and intelligent? Robin questioned as vines grew around the base of the dragon's wings. It growled, flexing and ripping apart the plants with brute force, much to Usopp's distress. If you say so, Zoro shrugged. It's trying to kill us either way. Second gear, Luffy said, a smirk growing as his skin turned pink and glossy. He vanished, reappearing above the dragon's head. Gum gum jet bullet. His fist came down on the dragon's snout, driving it into the ground below. The massive lizard screwed its eyes shut with pain but was not finished, whipping its tail around. Like Coby before, Luffy went flying, the captain crashing into a building that started to fall in on itself. Luffy's not here, so this guy is mine now, Zoro grinned, charging forward with all three swords drawn. The dragon raised one clawed leg, trying to stomp on the green-haired swordsman, but Zoro hopped backward, just avoiding it. Pushing off the ground, he rolled up the creature's arm, carving deep lines into its scales. Raven's talons. The beast roared in pain, snapping at the swordsman. Zoro moved, his swords catching the dragon's teeth before they could turn him into a snack. His lone eye widened, a glow building at the back of the monster's throat. Oh shit. Cross-sailed typhoon. Multiple X-shaped tempest kicks smashed into the side of the dragon's face, the beast's reactive roaring releasing Zoro just before the fire blew through the air. You better watch out, Zoro, you're welcome. I didn't need it, the Verde growled. Mary only smirked, using moonwalk to make her way back to the ground. Poot! A voice yelled, emanating from the dragon. Who goes there? I can sense your auras. Now I'm hearing the lizard, Mary called. Stupid dragon, Luffy yelled, swinging something large and off-white at the monster's head. It spat a mix of fire and saliva at the hit, its head swinging to the side. The beast stumbled back, trying to regain its bearings, as Luffy landed, a ball of bone hitting the ground beside him. Goddammit, Luffy, Coby shouted, the ball unrolling to reveal that the captain had been swinging him around in his armor mode by the tail. I'm not a freaking mall. Course not, Luffy laughed. That's a big building you go shopping at, are you stupid? You can't say that, Coby, Zoro, Usopp, and Mary yelled. The dragon roared once more, its wings flapping. Far faster than anything of its size had the right to, the creature took to the air. It's flying now in Terabang. Usopp screeched. Clearly, its wings are not just for show, Robin commented. Poot, the voice said again. Are you all also allies of the Six Warlords? You aren't making any sense. Luffy yelled. The dragon only stared at him, fire building in its mouth. The pirates scattered as a ball of flame crashed where they'd been standing, exploding with far more force than they'd expected it to. Robin let out a scream as a piece of shrapnel lodged in her leg from the blast. Intelligent or not, we need to take this thing down. Now, Coby growled as Zoro picked Robin up and carried her to Usopp. Any ideas? What goes up must come down, Mary offered. But how in Terabang? Usopp demanded, the sniper digging thought his bag for bandages to make a simple tourniquet that would do for the moment. If it needs wings to fly, Luffy began, grabbing Coby by the tail again. Captain, the Rosset yelped. Then we'll cut them off, Zoro finished, ignoring his student's plight. Usopp, give us a plan to get us up there, I'm sure you've got one. Yeah, the sniper groaned, reaching for something he was far more familiar with. Get yourselves killed. It's none of my business, Green Star. Trampolia. A giant plant with a center like a bubble sprouted from the ground, proving that the flora of the Boine Isles could sprout anywhere. They could not, however, survive everywhere, the heat already causing the leaves of the Trampolia to brown on the edges. The green of the plant was a stark contrast to the red and brown of the rest of the surroundings, dragging the dragon's eye to it instantly. Fire licked at its teeth. Hurry it up, Mary advised. Looks like the lizard doesn't like Uncle Usopp's contribution. Luffy and Zoro took a running start, both jumping onto and bouncing off of the Trampolia. Koby was dragged along for the ride, screaming profanities all the while, as the dragon's fire surged below them. It scorched a black spot onto Koby's plated back as it just missed him, the pillar of fire engulfing the Trampolia. I'm gonna hurl, the zone cried, Luffy spinning him in a vertical circle. Gum Gum Bone Club, the rubber man laughed, smashing Koby into the dragon's skull. Eyes, both those of the dragon and the dragon zone, bugged out at the impact. It forced the creature's head downward, its back arching to maintain its balance. Mary assisted with this, launching herself upward with both shave and moonwalk to drill her horns into the beast's softer stomach. One sword style, Zoro growled, Death Lion Song. In one slice, both of the dragon's wings separated. It blinked, not noticing Mary remove herself from below it. The wing stumps flapped, but that was all they could do. The giant lizard whimpered and fell. The ground shook as the now wingless dragon hit the earth, molten rock bubbling from the cracks that spiraled out from its bulk. It whimpered in pain, its eyes opening to glare, only for them to widen in worry once more. Cientos fore. Hold, Robin said, her upper body still undamaged even as Usopp dropped medicinal seeds on the ground for them to sprout simple, natural medicines. Hands bloomed across the dragon's body, primarily to hold the monster's mouth shut and its front legs to the ground. Shrimp, Zoro yelled from one side. Ready, Koby answered from the other, both swordsmen on either side of the beast's neck. 64. 640, caliber Phoenix. Their flying slashes met a bit off-center, Zoro's moving faster than Koby's but the younger swordman's being no less sharp with his new, higher-grade swords. Despite being unable to see each other, teacher and student slid their swords back into their sheaths, their simultaneous clicks coinciding with the head of the dragon separating from the rest of its body. Luffy laughed, clapping his hands at the display. That was so much fun, he cheered. Oh, I know, I'm hungry, so let's take some time eat this guy. I bet dragon meat's delicious. Well, Koby began. We've had dinosaur meat, and dinosaur zones are classified as dragon fruits, so I think it'll taste like a dinosaur. It's too bad Sanji isn't here to cook for us, though. Who needs the pervy chef? Zoro questioned, hacking a cut of dragon meat from the body before placing it on a nearby piece of flat rubble. The meat sizzled against the hot surface. We've got meat and we've got heat. That's really all you need. Well technically, but Mary scrounged for words, what knowledge she had from Sanji's influence trying to comprehend the insult to the profession that Zoro had just suggested. She eventually decided to leave it alone, seeing as she didn't have the tools to properly cook it to restaurant standards nor did she eat meat anyway. Forget it. Koby, Usopp hissed, grabbing the zone's arm. He pointed to where Zoro, with his minimalist survival experience, was hacking massive chunks out of the creature's side. Do you see that? See what? Koby craned his neck, trying to follow the sniper's finger. Something flickered in the firelight. Ignoring where Luffy was bugging Zoro about how long it took to cook meat by lava heat, Koby edged toward the thing. What is, oh? Oh, Usopp echoed. What, oh, I don't like, oh. Koby pulled out a water bottle, the young man unscrewing the top and finding himself disconcerted by the puff of steam the rose once it opened. Even so, he pulled something from the dragon's corpse and dribbled much too warm water over it. The water turned pink as it flowed over the item, each drop sizzling against the ground ebbed out of the shadow of the beast. A somewhat green orb the size of a bowling ball in his hand. The ground around his feet was littered with shards of similar color and a boiling, viscous liquid of deep yellow. Its sphere in his hand, however, was soft to the touch with a little give. Guys, Luffy looked up, the first hunk of meat halfway in his mouth despite the way his red fingers were all but smoking as he held it. He ripped the meat in half with his teeth, quickly chewing with a crunch. He frowned. Zoro, you left the scales on. That's just extra crunch, the Verde argued, don't be a baby. Even I know scales are like fur and you don't eat them, at least fur burns away, are you stupid? Shut up, Luffy, she, Luffy laughed, dodging the part of his meat that was covered in hard scales. What you got there, Koby? The young swordsman blinked. I think it's an egg. Nami sipped on her tangerine smoothie, staring at the sky above the island. She tied her hair back in a ponytail, all the better to pull it away from her neck and keep it from sticking to her skin. though the atmospheric sciences of what could cause such strange cloud cover did register somewhere in her mind. The majority of it was on thoughts of her reckless husband on the island. Ah, Chopper sighed happily on the railing beside her, a 3-scoop ice cream cone in hand. Thanks, Sanji. A cold snack is just what I needed with all this heat. Ah, brain freeze? Brooke gasped from the bench. Or, should I call it a soul freeze? Could you get me another cola, Cook bro? Frankie asked from his chair, Sunny's tiny Klabouterman sitting on his shoulder kicking her legs. She had a small cup with a lid and a straw, the young fairy poking her face with the end of it as she tried to get the aim right. It was almost funny that she could destroy whole ships and pilot giant robots in the midst of war, but she was having trouble drinking a drink through a straw. To be fair, she'd never really used her mouth before and it was a rather thick milkshake. Get it yourself, Metal Brain, Sanji yelled. And the rest of you? Your lucky Nami Swan and Amy Dearest offered you their leftovers. Sunny pointed to herself. Not you, Sunny. You're perfect just the way you are. Oh Sanji, Amy called from her beach chair, her dress set aside in favor of a yellow bikini she'd had on underneath. She shook her glass, ice clinking inside it. More lemonade, please. Right away, Amy Dearest. The love tornado took the glass, disappearing into the kitchen. Jin let out a hard breath, the man lying in the rigging a few feet up with his rubber-lined headband within arm's reach. He was still dressed in his robe, the heat not bothering him due to his logia constitution. He closed his eyes. Did you see that, Jin-kun? Rum whispered in his mind. The blonde you pine for doesn't care for you. She flirts with others, oblivious of your affections. And not just anyone else, but with the one crewmate you feel the most connection to. Your best friend, for a common term. And he reciprocates, you do not need any of them, Jin-kun. Give me control. Shaking the thoughts away with the ease of far too much practice, Jin rolled onto his side. He grabbed his headband, putting on to cut off his powers and silence the other voice in his head. His mind quiet, he took in the expressions of what crewmates were on deck. His eyes went to their tag-along, Kaku silent as he leaned against a wall staring at the clouds. He was quiet for the most part, Jin wondering what thoughts ran around in that head of his. Kaku had not made any attempt to get close to anyone outside of Coby and Mary. With both on the island, the ex-assassin had no one on board he considered a friend. Nami hummed a silent thought, Jin's eyes instantly locking on her. Something matter, Donna? He asked, worried about Don Luffy? Nami blinked, turning her eyes on him. Luffy? Nah, I'm not that worried. He's got Coby and Robin with him. Those two should be enough to keep the group from doing anything too stupid. I'm more worried about what might find them. Y'all think there's something weird on Island? Isn't there always? She gave a small laugh. I don't know how much you learned about weather while you were in Burka, but cloud formations are affected by the temperature of the air below them, which results in different types of precipitation. That said, the clouds on the other side of the island look wrong, but I can't identify them from here because of the distance and the haze from all the fire. It almost looks like the nimbostratus you'd find in a polar vortex, but that can't be right. Whatever it is, the island's got some weird stuff that's causing it. I'm sure they've got anything covered, Chopper offered. They've got Luffy, Zoro, Mary, and Coby. And if anything gets past them, Usopp can handle it. He's been on so many adventures against strong stuff even before he joined the crew. That, Jin trailed off. Nope, not my Ken Worm's tea, open. Whoa, Nami gasped, a pillar of fire rising into the air from the island. What was that? Whatever it is, I betcha Don Luffy's involved, Jin chuckled. Chopper sniffed the air, confusion crossing his face. That confusion morphed into panic as a wave of dizziness washed over him. He fell forward, his ice cream splattering across the deck. Chopper. Nami gasped, her own wave of dizziness making her grab the railing as her other hand rose to her head. The rest of the crew were not standing but similarly affected as the haze in the air shifted in color, turning more of an orange-green. Even Sunny was impacted, her sprite falling against Frankie's head with a sleep bubble reminiscent of Luffy when he naps on the deck while her milkshake fell into Frankie's lap. She faded into something like mist, dematerializing. It was not just Sunny, whatever was in the air also affecting Brooke. I feel lightheaded, am I dying again? Not good, Frankie breathed, passing out. Shit, Nami muttered, Jin falling out of the rigging to land on the deck. She reached for her cleam attack, but it was too late, her heavy eyes closing to blink only to remain closed as she, too, succumbed to the sleeping gas. Her last conscious thought was of her son, Ace. She hit the grass with a quiet whump, breathing softly. All was still for a moment, the pirates falling into deeper levels of sleep. The door to the kitchen opened, Sanji stepping outside with a tray in each hand. Amy dearest, I have your freshly squeezed lemonade, he sang. And I've made you a crepe as sweet as you are to your undeserving husband, Nami Swan. He paused, opening his one visible eye to see that no one was awake. Why's everyone asleep? When did it get so foggy? His vision blurred, the trays falling from his hands to clatter against the deck. He fell to one knee, his mind racing as he tried to comprehend what was happening and fight off the effect. It was ultimately a fruitless battle, the chef falling to the floor as the darkness of sleep claimed him, too. With all the known threats neutralized, a host of beings stepped onto the deck. They were each dressed in a yellow, plastic suit with no brakes, each having one large window where the face would be and a dark gray pack strapped to their backs. Each had a red hose connecting their face to the pack on their back. The one in the lead took in the scene, counting. 5 humans, he said, marking something on a clipboard. 1 cyborg. 1 raccoon dog. I'll mark it down as mammalian animal pet. And a skeleton. They probably fished that out of the water, so leave it. Tie up the rest of them. Sir, the rest of the figures responded, quickly and efficiently wrapping the sleeping pirates in rope. The one that seemed to be in charge turned, staring at the burning island. 5 test subjects and a couple rare creatures, he mused. The master will be pleased with this haul. He turned back to the group under his command. Keep the sleeping gas constant. We don't know if these pirates are Thottermen, but we won't take any chances. You too, search the ship for any more pirates. Sir, within the ship, Grace raised her head from her painting, the young woman waving a hand through the air. She frowned, her eyes narrowing. Ace seemed to pick up on this, the boy looking up from his tracing of the most basic art concepts, the child having wanted to draw as good as his artistic surrogate aunt and having accepted the resulting assignment. Auntie Grace? The boy asked, Billy cocking his head at Ace's side. Is something happening?
Grace was silent, pressing a single finger into her lips. She stood slowly, keeping quiet as she prowled toward the door. Her narrow eyes picked out the orange-green gas creeping in through the cracks in the doorway. Again, she waved a hand through it. Sleeping gas, she hissed. Fast-acting and with a medium-lasting time, but one I've never encountered. We're being boarded and they've got some clever backing.
Sleep gas. Shish. Grace insisted. We need to be quiet, Ace. Sonny? She waited, but there was no response. Auntie G. Shish. Watch your Auntie Grace work. We'll learn more later. Her warning given, she gathered the gas that had made it into the room into a ball, releasing it into an orbit around her where it could hang harmlessly. With that taken care of, she formed chains of argon and opened the doors to the lounge. Paint rose at her beck and call, forming detailed forms in the air that perfectly mimicked the walls of Sunny's hallways. Such pictures formed in an absurdly short amount of time. She pushed, the paint settling on the doors so finely that they no longer looked like doors. She closed them quietly, the openings now, for all intents and purposes, perfectly camouflaged. Crystals of argon grew to clog the openings that remained in the cracks, locking the gas out. Now cut off from the rest of the ship and, hopefully, hidden from whomever had arrived uninvited, Grace bundled Ace into her arms and sat in a corner that would act as an initial blind spot for anyone that walked in. Billy joined them, wrapping his tail around the 2 humans. Easy, Ace, she whispered, keeping her voice even as she released serotonin into her mind to calm her raging thoughts and worries. Now would be a terrible time for emotions to threaten her plans. It's okay. Auntie Grace will keep you safe. What about Mommy and Daddy and the others? The boy questioned, his words just as quiet as hers. They'll be fine, Grace insisted. Whatever this is, it's just starting, but I promise we'll come out of this like we did Fishman Island and against the Neo Marines, okay? Just trust me. And so, they listened, waiting for any information and a chance to turn the tables.
They'd soon get a chilling welcome to the other side of the island of Punk Hazard. Did you just say that's an egg in Terabang? Usopp demanded, eyes bugged out and finger pointing at the greenish orb in Koby's hand. The Zone nodded, stepping toward the group. Usopp screamed in response, running to Zoro to hide behind the older swordsman. Don't bring it closer. Smash it.
That's awesome. Luffy and Mary cheered, the pair rushing over to inspect the sphere. Luffy poked it. The egg was perfectly round and semi-soft to the touch, not quite hardened. Why's it soft? Luffy asked. I thought eggs were hard. Maybe it's the youngest, not fully developed, Mary suggested. The shards over here suggest these eggs had hard shells, but they shattered when the dragon fell. That one being soft is likely why it survived. You realize this means there's another dragon around here, right in Terabang? Usopp yelled. You need 2 to make eggs. Not necessarily, Robin countered, the injured archaeologist seated on a cooler piece of rubble, her leg wrapped with bandages. As a lizard on an island without other noticeable life, there's a decent chance this species of dragon is a squamate. A what? Coby blinked. A type of lizard or snake, Robin clarified. I think it's pretty obvious it's a lizard, Zoro said. What makes these squad things interesting? Mostly found in lizards, there are about 50 known species of squamates that reproduce as surely when certain conditions are met. Considering the amount of destroyed shell I can see from here, this species must also have a large infant mortality rate, causing them to lay many eggs in the hopes that a few survive to adulthood. Considering the lack of food, infanticide cannibalism is highly likely.
Gross, Mary muttered, her, Coby, and Usopp crinkling their noses in disgust at the suggestion. All but physical question marks appeared over Zoro and Luffy's heads, the rapid-fire big words making the horrible image pass them by.
Hey, egg. Luffy grinned. Wanna join my crew? It's an egg, dumbass, Coby shouted, using his free hand to punch Luffy over the head. It can't talk or think. Not yet, Mary corrected. That said, it would be pretty cool to have a dragon as a pet. I mean, we've got Billy and no offense to him, but he's not a dragon. That thing would eat us, Usopp argued. Robin just said its kind eat its own children. Counter-argument, the Klabouterman proposed. It's a learned behavior and we could raise it better. Besides, imagine how cool Ace's future wanted posters would be if he had a dragon over his shoulders. Grandson of dragon controls dragons. The headlines practically write themselves. That would be awesome, Luffy agreed. What else can you tell us about these squabbies? Squamates, Robin corrected. And they possess two main types of reproduction colloquially known as full cloning and half cloning. If their environment has not changed in a long time, then squamates typically use full cloning as they are readily adapted to their environment. If their environment is changing, then they use half cloning, increasing the chances of gene mutations that could be beneficial, thus causing evolution. If it's a half clone, will we get the front half or the back half? Luffy questioned. Probably the back half if it needs genes, right?
Captain, Coby sighed. I'm glad you're trying to follow along, but there's so much you just missed there. Half cloning just means it would turn out different than its parent in some way, not that there's only half an animal. Also, she's not talking about the genes you wear. She means that the baby dragon could be, like, blue or something when the parent was red.
Ooh, Luffy nodded, dropping a fist into his hand. It causes mystery changes. That, Coby blinked. For once, that's actually pretty close. None of that matters, Usopp yelled, pointing at the dragon corpse. How are we supposed to keep it on the ship when it will end up that big?
It might not, Mary noted. Plenty of animals only grow as big as their environment allows. I'd bet if we raised a dragon on the Sunny, then it'd only get as big as Frankie, probably. What do you think, Zoro?
Zoro looked up from the next hunk of meat, said meat sizzling on the same slab of ruins as the others as he set it down. Ow, hot. The voice from before cried from the general area of the slab. Someone assist me, I beg of you. Poot. Before the flames reduce my nethers to naught but ash. Zoro, the meat's talking. Luffy yelled. Find out why. I can't eat talking meat or it will keep talking in my stomach. It'll stop talking eventually, Zoro shrugged. Zoro-sensei. Usopp, Mary, and Coby yelled. Now this is curious, Robin muttered. There appears to be a pair of human legs somehow stuck to this part of the dragon. Human legs? Mary echoed, using shade to appear next to the older woman in an instant. Well, would you look at that? How weird. Please, the legs begged. Poot, I know you are nearby, please assist me in my time of need. I'll take care of it, Mary offered, hopping through the air to land on the meat next to the flailing pair of legs. They were rather hairy and covered with the bottom of a decorative orange, black, and white kimono with a red sash around the waist. Feeling the heat getting to her as well, Mary hooked her arms around the legs' knees and pulled. Her first couple of tugs failed to budge the appendages, but they did get a reaction. Has someone come to my rescue? The legs questioned. Poot, please act with haste, I can feel the hair of my legs burning away. I've got you, Mary promised, one final, great pull freeing the legs. And only legs were they, the waist where they had been connected to the dragon's hide showing only a black interior where would normally be organs, blood, and bone. Zoro, did you cut this guy in half? Luffy cried. Don't blame me for this, Zoro shot back, the captain blinked. Then maybe this is one of those half-cloning things, but he's missing his genes. That's in no way connected to this, Captain, Coby denied. The legs shifted, jumping to their feet and dancing a small jig. Poot, thank you, my friends. I feared I would be cooked alive, and that simply would not do, for I have a mission to fulfill, Poot. What mission? Robin inquired. I am certain you have many questions for me, Poot, but I am in no state to answer them. I can sense that you are nearby, but I cannot hear nor see any of you. As it stands, a vile sorcerer has divided my parts, yet I live on, Poot. I am certain this strange magic may be reversed if I can find the rest of my body. Alright, we're gonna help this guy, Luffy decided. He talks funny and I want to see the rest of him. What about the egg, Captain? Coby asked. Hang on to it. I want to see everyone's faces when we bring it back, and I did promise Ace a souvenir. Yes, Captain. Okay, let's get moving, Luffy declared, hoisting the legs up onto his shoulder in a modified fireman's carry. We've got half a person to find. Poot, you're offering me assistance. Okay, but where? Usopp asked. We don't have a clue where to start and it's not like we can just ask the legs where the rest of him is. He's already said he can't hear us. Uncle Usopp is right, Mary agreed. The fact that he can sense us suggests he has some kind of observation hockey and I'm still very confused about how a disembodied pair of legs can talk, but none of that helps us. Let's go back to the sunny, Coby suggested. Maybe the others will have an idea on where to. He trailed off, his eyes slowly rising to the top of one of the burning towers. The others followed his line of sight. There, perched upon the top of the building was a shadow. Humanoid in appearance, the legs were long and slender and an orange glow reflected off large, round eyes. It seemed to sense their gazes, the rounded torso opening to reveal that the shape had been caused by a pair of wings. The shadow leapt, 2 great beats of its wings making it vanish into the sky. The hell was that? Mary asked. That was awesome? I'm gonna ask that thing to grin. You will not, Zoro and Usopp denied, the former smacking Luffy in the back of the head. We don't even know if that thing speaks common, Usopp continued.
The odds of that are likely, however, Robin interrupted. Given that it is a creature on an island that was once controlled by the world government, there is a decent chance that any sentient creature here can at least understand our language, even if they do not speak it themselves.
And the dragon? The sniper tried. Not sentient, the archaeologist replied. At least, not in any meaningful way by human standards. Domesticated and sentient animals require being raised in an environment in which they are regularly exposed to humans who are meeting all their needs. Most creatures never move beyond working for the most basic of needs, and thus never care for others until needing to mate. And the latter is as close as most animals come. Are you referring to Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Mary asked. If I remember right, the base needs are food, water, shelter, and sleep among others. You studied the hierarchy extensively to keep yourself sane while on the run as a child. That is correct, Robin nodded, only a slight downturn at the corner of her lips an indication that the memories Mary's words dredged up were distasteful. Ideas like love, community, and belonging are halfway up the pyramid and only become a consideration after constant safety is realized. Though this dragon was not sentient in the human sense, that does not mean the one that will hatch from the egg could never be. Can we cycle back around to the bird thing that Luffy wants to recruit before his head explodes? Zoro demanded, one casual thumb pointing back at where Luffy was red-faced with squinted eyes, trying to follow along with the scientific conversation. What makes you think that thing is sentient when the dragon wasn't? Its body shape is a good hint, Robin began, foregoing the use of the words physiology and indicator for Luffy's sake. Nearly every humanoid creature, be they human, long arm, long leg, fishman, giant, or some combination thereof, all have society. They live together as groups, Coby clarified for Luffy. He let out an "oh" with a nod. So, could you give that to us in dumbed-down terms? Usopp requested. Poot. The legs set over Luffy's shoulder. Why have we not moved? I am in something of a hurry. It looks human, so it probably thinks on the level of humans, the fairy translated for Luffy's sake, ignoring the talking, disembodied legs.
Wood fairies as a whole are a pretty good example. If an animal lives in a group, they develop a form of communication, and they pick up on that while they're young. I learned Common because that's the language you all use to talk to each other. Even though Robin knew Poneglyphic while I was forming, she didn't use it around me, so I didn't learn it the way I did Common. Sunny will be a different story because Robin is teaching Ace and me, so it's being used.
Great, Usopp whined. So we'll have a whole group of smart, winged monsters come after us to eat us. Perfect. No one said anything about eating, Luffy noted, certain that he would have followed that part of the conversation at least. Except when Mary said something about food being a base need. It flew off toward the other side of the island, Coby offered. Do we follow it or head back to the Sunny, Captain? The Sunny'll be fine, Luffy answered. Everyone's strong and they've got Sunny herself to keep an eye out. Let's explore the rest of the island. Your wish is our command, Captain, Robin giggled. Ah, Zoro? Could you carry me? My leg seems to be bothering me. Zoro grumbled as he lifted the raven-haired archaeologist onto his shoulder, the Verde missing the way Coby and Mary sent his new passenger a thumbs up. With Luffy and Coby leading the pack, the group started making their way to the center of the island. Sunny had shifted beneath them, Grace knew, whomever had boarded her moving the ship somewhere else. The artist didn't know why, but her breath now condensed into a cloud of white every time she breathed. That didn't make sense considering how the island was burning, that all evidence now pointed toward the Sunny being docked at a winter island. She didn't know how to explain this what with her limited information, Ace whispering questions to her that she had no answer for. Billy's eyes were furrowed, the gigafowl trying to piece together the situation himself. Sunny hasn't moved for 10 minutes now, the artist commented. That must mean whoever boarded us has reached their destination. They should be distracted and feeling pretty secure right about now. So what we gonna do? Ace asked. The young woman picked him up, setting the toddler on Billy's back. A wave of her hand caused the argon clogging the area above and below the doors to clear, letting the orange-green sleeping gas that had first tipped Grace off to slowly seep in, but at a noticeably slower rate. The chem woman formed a barrier of air around herself and her two companions, keeping them safe. She opened the door slowly, poking her head outside to scan the hallway. When no living thing presented itself, she crept out, Billy tiptoeing along behind her. Dun dun datum, dun dun dunda, Ace whisper sang to himself as they moved through the hallways. Ahead, Grace pressed herself against a corner and pulled a tiny, cosmetic mirror from her pocket, using its reflection to spy down the next hallway. Da da daa, da da daa. Finding no one down the hall, Grace gestured for Billy to keep following her and led the way onward. They kept their footsteps quiet as they moved, Ace switching from whisper singing to humming. The sleeping gas continued to part before them, swirling back in on itself after they had passed. Each step seemed to drop the temperature further until they reached the door to the deck. Auntie Grace, I'm cold. I am too, Ace, she responded. Listen, this is going to get messy. Whoever is here, they have to be on the deck and I don't think we can sneak past them. Billy, when we get out, take Ace and fly up until you get out of the gas. We can deal with the cold afterward. Wah, the bird nodded as Grace directed Ace's hands to grab Billy's saddle, ordering him to not let go. Everything as ready as it could be. Grace pushed the door open and dove out onto the deck. Sharp cold and moisture hit Grace as she came up onto her feet, one hand balancing her. The haze of the gas hung over the ship, nearly stark against the white backdrop of falling and settled snow. Billy was a blur of yellow and orange as he shot forward, the gas swirling behind him while he climbed higher and higher. Figures in yellow jumpsuits with large, gray tanks on their backs turned, each 1.5 times Grace's smaller height. They saw Grace at the same time she saw them, the pirate reaching her arms out. The sleeping gas moved at her beckoning, condensing into twin spiked pauldrons around her hands and forearms. In response, several raised rifles while one drew a sword. She must be one of the pirates, one of the figures yelled. Capture her. Fat chance, boys, Grace shot forward, clearing the distance between herself and the closest intruder in a second. She twisted, planting her right pauldron in the face of the man. He lost his hold on his gun, the condensed gas driving him into the solid deck below, his face mask cracking and shattering with a crunch. A portion of the gas under Grace's control split off, blasting into his suit and knocking the man unconscious in moments. She cracked her neck and stood. All right, who's next? The figures paused, glancing at each other. She's just one girl, the apparent leader said. Don't let up. Snow crunched below as the figures moved as one, each charging forward. The one with the sword reached Grace first, the artist jumping off her first downed opponent to backflip over the swinging blade. She lashed out with a kick, but this one seemed to be more experienced than his companions. His free HK her attack. His hand tightened around her heel, pulling Grace in toward his sword. She crossed her arms, crystallizing the gas to catch the blade. She couldn't see the face of her opponent, but she all but felt his eyes widen as the crystals grew around the blade. A jerk of her arms snapping the metal. He staggered backward, Grace spinning to use her new broken sword to cut the tube connecting the figure's head to the oxygen container on his back. It hissed, the air inside rapidly decompressing. Grace left him to succumb to the remaining sleeping gas around them as two more foes approached with their rifles. One spun it around, holding the weapon by the barrel so he could swing the stock like a club. She ducked under it but didn't get a chance to capitalize on the opening as the other shot at her. The pirate hopped backward, a dart stabbing into the deck where she had been. Tranks, the natural redhead hissed, flexing her fingers as the cold started making them go numb. Of course these bastards have tranks. Even with the two enemies she'd already downed, there were still 4 more to go, each armed with tranquilizers and equipped with heating to deal with the snowy weather. She, on the other hand, was on a timer and outmanned. Despite their weapons, however, she was not outgunned. This has been fun, boys, but I've got a nephew to take care of, so we need to finish this. So sorry. Grace's hands danced through the air, her stolen gas breaking apart to form sharpened darts of her own. They arrayed behind her like the arms of a drawn sun, the chemist bringing her hands around as if offering her hand for a dance, the first of many of the darts settling in her palm. Chemical bending, sleepy minigun. The crystallized bullets almost made pew-pew sounds as each shot from her palm, stabbing into the hazmat suit ensconced intruders one after the other. They fell over, the leader reaching for something in his suit as he struggled to remain awake. Grace strutted over to him, kicking his arm as he brought it up toward his face. A transponder snail hit the snow as it flew from his hand, the man reaching for it weakly before going limp under the peaceful embrace of their own drugs. Needing to figure something out for this cold but having a list of priorities, Grace quickly followed the gas to its origin, finding a reinforced barrel leaking the airborne drug. She lifted it over her head and threw it overboard, the rest of the gas dispersing at her command. "Wha?" Billy questioned from above, Grace looking up to see the gigafowl and the toddler he was carrying poking their heads over the side of the crow's nest. "All good," the young woman confirmed, allowing the duck and child to return to the deck. "Auntie Grace, it's snowing," Ace said as soon he knew she could hear him. "I know, Ace. It's cold 'cause it's snowing, even though the island was on fire before." "I know that too, Ace," Grace nodded absently. "The island's gone en du nail now." "That's right." She lifted his hat and ruffled his hair, only then noticing that Billy was also shivering from the weather. "Come on. Now that I've taken care of these guys, we can go get changed for the snow. We'll figure out what to do after that."
"Okay," Ace replied, Billy turning and heading for the door. He didn't quite make it, the large duck tripping over something he thought would be just a slightly taller snowbank. A certain crown-like hat on an afro rolled out, leaving a track in the snow.
"Wah?" the bird questioned. "It's Grandpa Brooks' head," Ace said, pointing. As they three watched, Brooks' head snored, a sleep bubble impossibly forming from his nosehole only to freeze. Brooke continued to snore. "He'll wake up pretty quickly," Grace commented. "Let's go change clothes, Ace." "K. There's snow over there," Luffy yelled from the ridge of the next pile of rubble, his finger pointing out to the horizon the others could not yet see. The odd call, however, spurred the other pirates to climb a little faster, the rest joining him atop the debris. Across the way stood what appeared to be a circular lake of clear, blue water connected to the ocean on their side by straight rivers. This water acted as a perfect divide between the burning half of the island on which they stood and the expansive white of falling and piling snow on the other side. The clouds above the lake swirled as the difference of temperature caused them to churn in on themselves, unable to find a balance. A mountain barely visible through the dense snowstorm rose out over the distance, its sides a darker black-brown trying to hide within the frozen precipitation. "Whoa," Mary grinned, grabbing a piece of sturdy rubble to balance herself as she leaned over the edge to get a view that much closer. "Now this is the kind of stuff I wanted to see during our adventure." I can practically hear Mrs. Nami muttering about air pressure and currents in my head. "Oh," Coby blinked. "Oh, we're on that island." "What island?" Usopp questioned. "That do you mean that island? I don't like that island." "Well, it's not common knowledge, but Junior made it his job to know everything that was going on," Coby explained. "When Akainu and Aokiji fought for the title of Fleet Admiral, they say their duel went on for a full 3 days and nights, forever altering the landscape of their battlefield. This must have been that location." "Guys, my cat go on the scary devil fruit changed island disease is starting to act up," the sniper whimpered, clutching at his heart. "I think I'm gonna die." "I know," Luffy laughed. "I know," Coby said. "I know," Mary added. "I know," Zoro grunted. "We are aware," Robin offered. "Blay," Usopp feigned death, laying on the rubble at their feet with his tongue lolling out of his mouth. "I'm dead. You all killed me." She, Luffy laughed. "Hey, do you think I could do the same thing to another island as the admirals did here? What would happen? Would it make the place super bouncy forever?" "I don't know if it's possible," Mary thought aloud. "I mean, Aokiji and Akainu are pretty powerful logias while you have a body-changing paramecia. The differences there are pretty obvious." "Yeah," Zoro muttered, "but this is Luffy we're talking about and devil fruits are bullshit. He's too stupid to know what's impossible and what's not, so he'll find a way to make it possible." "Like you do with your non-existent sense of direction?" Robin giggled. "Shut up, woman, I will drop you." Robin did not reply, only continuing to giggle. Zoro huffed. "Poot," the legs said. "I suddenly feel a breeze, how curious." "Do you think the bird person flew to the snowy side?" Luffy questioned. "It's possible," Coby replied. "I know it flew this way, even though I couldn't pinpoint its thoughts. I know it was at least over the lake when I lost it in my observation. It can't have known I could track it." "Next step, then," Mary said. "How are we getting across the—" A bullet cut her off, shooting through her forehead. She stumbled, falling backward as she started to destabilize. The rest of the crew jumped into action, Coby pushing Usopp out of the way as the next bullet put a hole in the ground just behind where he'd been standing. "Lay off my crew," Luffy roared, charging the area where the projectiles had come from. He jumped out of the way of another bullet with ne'er a pause for the sidestep. "This guy's good," Coby growled as Mary finished restabilizing. "He managed to hide himself from my observation. He's a pro." "He won't be for long," Usopp declared, taking off after their captain. "No one attacks Mary under my watch and gets away with it." Luffy cleared the rubble behind which the gunman had been hiding, his fist already on a collision course with his head before the gunman could get a word in. He raised his weapon, the rifle absorbing the punch's impact before cracking in two. He jumped back, making distance between himself and the invader. The gunman had the upper body of a muscular, bearded man with a scowling, scarred face, but his pelvis was attached to a giraffe. His long, spindly legs were spread out to lower his center of balance, tense to run or fight at a moment's notice. "Say your prayers, intruders," he said, reaching behind his back, neck to draw a sword. "This island belongs to the master, and he doesn't want outsiders like you wandering around. Surrender now. I've already killed one of you." "A bullet to the face won't stop any of my crew," Luffy swore. "I don't care how cool your legs are, weird giraffe guy, I'll still beat you up for attacking us." "You think you can take me?" the giraffe centaur laughed. "I'd like to see you tee." Green star. Devil. Flora rapidly sprouted underneath the four-legged man, green vines rising to ensnare his legs as the gaping mouth of a mutant Venus flytrap rose to eat him. He cried out in shock as the plant seemed to realize it could not swallow him with its current size and started to grow larger for that purpose. "What is this interrobang?" he cried, hacking at the plant with his sword to no effect. "Payback," Usopp answered from beside Luffy. The centaur reached into his shirt, pulling out a transponder snail. Before he could so much as wake it up, however, a metal pellet smacked into his hand, the man dropping the invertebrate with a pained gasp. "And clutch," Robin said, arms blooming along the visible parts of the centaur's neck, torso before twisting him almost 180 degrees with many a crack. Foam bubbled at his mouth as he went slack. "Well, that was rude," Mary commented as she, Zoro, and Coby joined the others. "He could have just said hi." He had a transponder snail, Usopp noted, reaching down to pick up the communication creature. These things don't really just roam in the wild, especially not on burning and frozen islands. "Look, the shell says CC on it." "And he mentioned some master," Zoro added. "Looks like we'll have to beat someone up like usual." "Is it Tuesday already?" Coby joked, miming looking at a watch. "Anyway, first a dragon, then a harpy, and now some kind of centaur. It's like this master person wants to make their own bastardized fairy tale creatures come to life." "I say we go back to the sunny and sail away," Usopp voted. A hand raised. The green star. Devil started to brown and wither from the heat, leaving the incapacitated would-be assassin mostly unharmed in its maw. "While I disagree with just leaving, I would like to check up on the others," Mary said. "We can drop off the dragon egg and plan our next move." "As long as we aren't leaving before I kick someone's ass," Luffy agreed. "Alright, back to the ship." Frankie came to slowly, a repetitive bang, bang, bang echoing again and again in his ears. It took a minute for his systems to boot up, his sensors flickering to life and checking that everything was still working. The first thing he saw was Sanji, the chef making the noise as he kicked a metal door, the area already dented but not ready to give way. The center of said door was branded with the number 102. Frankie blinked any remaining sleep away and looked around the room. It was solid, unpainted steel in a rather large cube. His crewmates were arrayed around it with various emotions on their faces. Some, like Amy, Jin, and Sanji, were clearly angry, the former with bloody knuckles as evidence of her own attempts to break the reinforced door down, and thankfully covered up with her dress that the kidnappers had brought along when they'd been moved. They were apparently nice enough to offer some modesty to their captives. Jin clearly wanted to join the attack on the door, but his weapons were nowhere to be seen. Others, like Chopper and Nami, seemed worried. The navigator in particular was hugging her knees to her chest, muttering prayers to the universe for the protection of her son. Kaku hung back in the corner, his narrowed eyes studying the room. "I don't think door's gonna give in, Sanji," Jin commented. "You're just gonna tire yourself out at this rate." "Freaking sea prism stone," Amy complained. "If it was any old steel, we'd be out by now." "You think I don't know that?" Jin interrobang, the chef responded, emphasizing his words with another kick. "I can't just sit around and do nothing. They took our transponder snails and whatever weapons they could identify on us. I'm not going to take that lying down." "I can't believe they'd do that to us," Chopper cried, throwing his hands in the air. "We come to save them in their time of need and they kidnap us." "But they didn't get all of us," Kaku noted, dragging attention to him. "Yeah, they got the drop on us, which is uncool, but there are several folks that ain't here that would be otherwise." He raised a finger, counting the number of pirates that were absent from their cell. "They didn't get the skeleton. Prolead thinking he's dead as a doornail, and there's no way they could have isolated Sunny. On top of that, your artist, Kid, and Duck are all absent, too. That's 5 left on the ship. If they'd been caught, Brooke specifically, then they would have been here." "That's long-term good news," Jin admitted, "but that don't help us none here and now." "Ah, 1,000 pardons," a voice said, echoing from an uninhabited corner. "Based on your words, I can only conclude that none of you are in league with the magical swordsman of the island?" With suspicion now drawn to the shadows, Sanji, being the closest of their number to the point, inched toward it. He gasped, recoiling. "What is it?" Chopper questioned, jumping to his feet. He rushed to Sanji's side, ready to offer his medical services should they be needed but equally ready to run at the same time. His eyes landed on the things in the darkness. "Oh Gota, a monster. I understand that my appearance may be disturbing, but I do not believe myself to be such a creature." Increasingly concerned, the other pirates, and Kaku, gathered around the origin of the voice. There, lying on the floor, were a host of rectangular prisms, each capped with a part of a face, be it an eye, the mouth, or part of the nose. On either side of this pile was what seemed to be part of a head, one with a black topknot and the other with a chin, a goatee, and part of a neck. The mouth opened.
"Please, I beg of you not to gawk." The eyes moved, looking separate directions. "This place is strange and when the magic swordsman bested me, I quite literally fell to pieces. If it is no trouble, could I ask you to put my head back together?"
"What happened to you?" Jin asked. "What do you mean when ya say, magic swordsman?" "It was the strangest phenomenon. He cut me, yet I did not bleed. Stranger still, I can still feel the rest of my parts out in the world, moving under some sort of my own behest. Please, can you assist me? I've got this, Sanji insisted, laying his hands on the pieces. Several minutes passed as he tried to put the head back together. There. I do not believe this is right, the head said, his mouth in the center of his face and his eyes on both the top and bottom. Nami cracked a small smile, Sanji's semi-serious attempt reminding her of something Luffy would do unironically. Let me give this a try, she muttered. Her attempt at putting the head together earned a few laughs, each pirate deciding they needed to try their own hand at the captive-turned-puzzle-turned game. Only when he begged them to take him seriously did Amy put what there was here of him back together, citing Grace's love of puzzles as a child for her skill. I thank you, the head said, bowing as best it could with only a neck. I am glad that whatever magic that swordsman used was reversible.
Sanji opened his mouth to respond only to shiver, a noticeable shake crawling up his spine. His one visible eye darted around the room.
What's up, Sanji? Jin asked. I don't know, the chef answered. I just got the uncontrollable urge to kick the moss head in his stupid face for saying something rude to a lady. So nothing new, Chopper commented. Speaking of ladies, the head began, his eyes turning to Nami. What manner of outfit are you wearing in Terabang? It's so obscene. Is such an outfit Norma? Excuse you, the navigator demanded, grabbing the head by the ear and dragging him up to eye level. What did you just say about me? You are dressed like a harlot, the head replied. Your dress is transparent and your chest is only covered by a breastband. Where I come from, women are chaste and quiet, following 3 steps behind the men. Even those with less reputable jobs know to dress themselves modestly. No man would marry someone who clothes themselves the way you do. My husband would disagree with you, Nami said, her free hand brushing her hair to flash the golden band on her finger. Then he would punch you in the face for the insult. You are married in Terabang, the head gasped. Impossible. Ya better watch your mouth, Jin growled, looming at Nami's shoulder. You're talking ta th, future queen oth, pirates. We'll not have ya disrespect our captain's wife. You lot are pirates? The head demanded. I should have known, for that would explain your barbarism. I had hoped you two were fellow victims to this frozen hell and that we could escape together, but that shan't be so. Nami turned her nose up at him, tossing the head away. Wait, frozen? Frankie questioned. What do you mean by that? This island is on fire with a supervolcano and lava and everything. I know not what you mean. This island and the waters around it are clothed in naught but snow and ice. There is little heat to be found here. That is the last thing I have to say to you, cursed pirates. Nami, weren't you saying the clouds looked funny? Chopper asked.
That would explain it, the navigator nodded, putting a hand on her chin. The cloud formations I saw were those of a frozen tundra. The burning land that Luffy and the others went to must be only half of the island, while those who kidnapped us brought us to the other side, which is frozen. I knew there was something weird going on with the weather. Then my little sister and your son are in danger, Amy piped up. A woman is scandalous as you has borne only one child? The head muttered. I am surprised. We're leaving the head here, Sanji decided. That said, I kicked the door pretty hard, it's not going anywhere. That's because you didn't wait until I woke up, Frankie commented, putting his hands together and aiming at the door. Allow me. My cola is super maxed out. Frankie, radical beam. A yellow laser shot from between the cyborg's hands, hitting the door with an explosion that melted the edges and blasted the metal from its now molten hinges. It bounced off the opposite wall with a hearty clang that echoed down the hallway. That's so cool, Chopper cried, stars in his eyes and arms waving. I wish I was a cyborg, too. One Frankie is enough, thank you, Nami chuckled with a shake of her head. Ace has asked me if he could become a cyborg twice already. I don't need you encouraging him. Kyahaha. Amy laughed. You have to admit, he'd be the cutest little cyborg ever. I don't care how cute you think he'd look, no one is modifying my son. Wah, the head gawked, the pirates making their way out the broken door. Wait, please. Perhaps I was too hasty in my judgment. Please, take me along. Why should we? Sanji questioned, turning his eye back on the head. Please, the head begged, bowing as best he could. Were this a normal situation, I would slice my own belly and die with honor for my failure. But there is a task I must complete at all costs, even if it means living as a disgrace to do so. And what does that have to do with us? Amy demanded. After all, you're the high and mighty samurai on this island, aren't you? Samurai in Terabang, Chopper cried. Is he gonna kill us in Terabang? How do you know this guy's samurai? Jin questioned. It's the hairstyle, Amy explained. The top knot is the traditional hairstyle of the samurai of Wano. So, what will it be, samurai? The head didn't look at her, rather moving to make eye contact with Nami. As one parent to another, I beg for your assistance. My own son is trapped in this place and I need to get him back at all costs. His life is in danger. The two parents stared each other down, one testing the conviction of the other. A garbled voice asked something down the hallway. They're coming, Chopper insisted. Come on, leave the head, he's our enemy.
No, Nami rebuffed. Bring him along. What in Terabang? Yes, Donna, Jin said, picking up the head despite Chopper's protests. Let's get out of here before guards come. This way, Kaku insisted, pointing to the right of the cell. The guards are coming from the other side. The group booked it, the head tucked under Jin's arm like a ball of sport. They rounded a corner. Shit, this way's a dead end, Amy swore. There's a door, Nami noted, the words Biscuit's room stenciled into the wall above it. Sanji overtook them, reaching the door first and forcing it open with a powerful kick. The inside of the room was far from the bleak, metal hallway. The floor carpeted in a calming grass color and the walls decorated blue with images of clouds, birds, and rainbows. The pirates forced their way inside only to freeze, many eyes turning on them. The motion that had been active stopped. Children of various ages turned to see the intruders, said children's heights ranging from 4 feet to over 20, easily dwarfing even Frankie. A soccer ball the same height as Kaku hit the floor with a muted thump. "On, there's giant kids now," Amy muttered, "just perfect." "Anyway," Coby said, "first a dragon, then a harpy, and now some kind of centaur. It's like this master wants to make their own bastardized fairy tale creatures come to life." "I say we go back to the sunny and sail away," Usopp voted. A hand raised. The green star. Devil started to brown and wither from the heat, leaving the incapacitated would-be assassin mostly unharmed in its maw. "While I disagree with just leaving, I would like to check up on the others," Mary said. "We can drop off the dragon egg and plan our next move." "As long as we aren't leaving before I kick someone's ass," Luffy agreed. "Alright, back to the ship." "Where the hell is Sunny and Terabang?" Luffy demanded. The ladybug sitting at the top of the cloud bridge Nami had created to get them to the island. The space that had held their anchored brig sloop was empty save for a couple pockets of burning water. A concept Mary was still trying to comprehend, and fish skeletons held up by boiling water. "They wouldn't just leave," Coby muttered, the squishy egg in his arms. "They haven't moved away to get out of the heat, either. I would be able to sense them otherwise. Their spirits are pretty hard to miss at this range." "That only leaves us with one option," Mary growled, punching a fist into her palm. "Someone must have kidnapped and ship-napped them. Pirate-napped? But who and why?" Usopp questioned. "And how? Doesn't matter," Zoro grunted, fiddling with his swords. "Whoever it is, though, they're probably working with the swordsman the legs are after." "Let us not forget the presence of the winged harpy and the giraffe centaur," Robin reminded them. She tilted her head, resting her cheek on one palm. "Oh dear, I do hope the others haven't been abducted for painful and tortuous experimentation designed to transfigure them into hideous, mythological monstrosities. Although, I could imagine Nami taking to being a siren rather well. Or a demon," the Verde swordsman grumbled. "Frankie, Brook, and Chopper are kind of already monsters," Coby thought aloud. "If I had to equate Chopper to something from mythology, maybe a minotaur? Becoming a harpy would probably help Amy a lot," Mary considered. "I mean, she can already fly pretty well. Maybe an angel instead. I think she'd like to keep her hands, but if she had wings." "Our dear swordsman is already a cyclops," Robin said, Zoro batting away her attempts to pat his head for emphasis. "Okay, but can we get back to our crewmates in Terabang?" Usopp demanded. "They're kind of, missing." "We could scour the island by foot," Coby began. "But the various observation hockeys and likewise that we have between us should help immensely. The problem there is for it to be most effective is for us to split into different groups. Instead, we should try to find the most likely place they were taken and move from there." "I thought it was obvious," Luffy said. "If they aren't here, then they're where the bird thing went." The crew blinked. They blinked again. "Captain Luffy has a pretty good point," Mary agreed, the words tasting funny in her mouth. "Plus, I'm getting tired of this heat. We should start our search by heading to the snowy side." "Should we try calling them?" Coby asked. "I do not believe that would be beneficial," Robin put in. "Should our enemy have confiscated their transponder snails, all the action would accomplish would be to inform their captors of our approach. Discretion is our ally in this instance." "Yes, discretion," Usopp nodded. "Discretion is good. It helps us not get killed. I like discretion." "Alright, turn around," Luffy ordered, Coby spinning the ladybug steering wheel, to the snowy side. Grace lifted Ace's hat and ruffled his hair, only then noticing that Billy was also shivering from the weather. "Come on. Now that I've taken care of these guys, we can go get changed for the snow. We'll figure out what to do after that." "Okay," Ace replied, Billy turning and heading for the door. He didn't quite make it, the large duck tripping over something he thought would be just a slightly taller snowbank. A certain crown-like hat on an afro rolled out, leaving a track in the snow. "Wah?" the bird questioned. "It's Grandpa Brooks' head," Ace said, pointing. As they three watched, Brooks' head snored, a sleep bubble forming from his nosehole only to freeze quickly. "He'll wake up pretty quickly," Grace commented. "Let's go change clothes, Ace." "'Kay." Grace stepped out of the ship's insides dressed in a colorful, woolen coat that went all the way down to her calves, a beanie with a little puffball at the top, and a warm gaiter that covered her nose and mouth. Billy at her side wore a set of specially made red gear including a vest under his saddle, leg warmers, and a red and white ushanka.
Ace was, as usual, seated on his back, the little boy wearing a brown coat with monkey ears on the hood and a velcro mouth covering to keep the cold from biting his lips and nose. Said covering boasted the muzzle of a monkey. His orange hat hung from his neck by a string, having slipped off his hood without the boy noticing. A red, yellow, and orange scarf danced in the cold wind, part of it covering his mask.
Dear me. Brooke jumped as they stepped onto the deck. I thought I was alone on the ship. We managed to avoid the ambush since we were inside, Grace told the skeleton, said skeleton seated on the deck's bench with a cup of tea. Do you know what happened? The memories are hazy, Brooke admitted. I remember we were discussing Nami's analysis of the clouds, but my memory fails me afterward. I suppose these individuals had something to do with it? Brooke gestured to the men in the hazmat suits scattered across the area, the falling snow already starting to bury them little by little. They knocked everyone out with sleeping gas, Grace nodded. I managed to keep it away with my chem powers and turn it against them. It was awesome, Grandpa Brooke, Ace said, his words a little muffled by his scarf. They were all like, Shane. And, she's a pirate. Get her. And all that. But Auntie Grace beat him up like, ba bam, pew pew, it was so cool. My word, Brooke gasped, a hand over his ribcage where his heart used to be. I dare say I'm disappointed to have missed it. Say, Brooke, Grace began, turning the undead's attention to her. You don't have lungs anymore, so you don't need to breathe, right? That is true, the skeleton nodded. Why do you ask? Oh, it's nothing. Nothing at all. Just a small question. Grace's smile tightened. If you don't need to breathe, nor do you have blood or muscles, then why did the gas affect you? Brooke would have blinked if he still had eyelids. Well, you see, that is to say, I have no idea. Grace pinched the bridge of her nose, screwing her eyes shut. Her voice was a controlled hiss, the young woman artificially calming herself lest she do something in front of Ace. Brooke, you are nothing but bones and hair. Chemical hallucinogens and anesthetics shouldn't have any effect on you. You only got knocked out because you saw the others getting knocked out and convinced yourself that, logically, you should pass out, too. That is preposterous, the afroed skeleton denied. By that logic, I should not sleep. You don't need to sleep, you only do it because you tell yourself to. This is a mind over matter instance. But I no longer have a mind, Brooke rebuffed, opening his skull to show its empty insides. Gee hee hee, Ace laughed, clapping his mitten-clad hands. Grace sighed again. Ace, stay here with Brooke and wait for Sunny to wake up. Billy, you're coming with me. We need to get a lay of the land before something else goes wrong. Wah! The gigafowl saluted, Ace clambering off his back. The first thing the boy did was plop himself into the snow and start moving his arms and legs, making a snow angel. Grace allowed herself a small smile at the scene before climbing into the saddle. You think you can handle this snow, Billy? She asked.
Wah! The duck answered, turning his neck to look nod. Wah wah. Fair enough, Grace responded, not knowing what he was trying to say but trusting him all the same. Let's get going, then. I'd like to find some of the others as soon as possible.
Wah! Billy spread his wings, taking to the air with a short run. Good luck, Auntie Grace and Billy. Ace waved. Indeed, Brooke echoed, best of luck. The pair spiraled upward, the colors of the sunny below getting smaller but no less distinct amidst the perpetual white of the snow. A gray mountain loomed in the distance, trying to hide in the flurry. Biting winds whipped against Grace's cheekbones and forehead, the young woman pulling her hat lower in an attempt to preserve heat. It did little to fight the cold, but the feel of the wool against her lifted her spirits. She felt like she'd grasped a little bit of control in this out-of-control situation. All right, Billy, she yelled, making sure her voice didn't get lost in the howling wind. I'd like to make a full rotation of that mountain before we come back. We need to get a layout of the island before we do anything.
Her mount nodded, banking to the right to follow the wind. The snowy tundra stretched out below them, an unbroken expanse of nothing, but the storm started to lessen as they went, several minutes bringing a tinge of red through the snow.
Wah? The bird questioned. I don't know, let's check it out.
Billy flapped, increasing his speed as the pair approached. The red grew, the snowstorm lightening until it was only a small flurry. Maybe 100 yards ahead of them stretched a lake, perfectly circular with two lines like rivers connecting it to the ocean on either side. It was massive as well, Billy needing to rise to the point where breathing was getting difficult to see its full scope. The other bank of the lake was red, such marking the burning half of the island.
Well, we have an idea of where some of the others are now, the art thief commented. Come on, Billy, let's complete our route and get back to the sunny. We can make a plan indoors. Wah! The bird agreed, turning to continue their chosen path.
As they got closer to it, Grace noted that the mountain was not completely natural. Several massive tubes were set into its side, each labeled with a number. One labeled P-H-006 had a massive hole in it, suggesting whatever might live inside were not the original owners. The upper part of the mountain, facing away from where the Sunny was docked, was littered with dark openings, gray pipes running between them.
That's weird, the human said. Billy, the gigafowl turned, coming into land on one of the platforms before the uppermost opening. It was 10 feet tall, a hollow groaning coming from within as the wind blew past. Grace and Billy looked at each other before she urged the duck forward, the gigafowl landing on the platform and stepping into the shadows. Cold air swirled around them, but the temperature still rose once they got out of the snow. The walls were gray paneling rather than stone, the material professionally done but aged to the point where it was slowly coming loose. The whole thing gave the hallway an eerie feeling, as if the duo were venturing into a ruin. "Wah, I don't like this either," Grace muttered, running a gloved hand over the wall. A piece of paneling squeaked, the young woman wincing at the sound as it echoed down the tunnel. She and Billy waited for another shoe to drop, but nothing came except the howling of the wind outside. They each breathed a sigh of relief. "All right, let's keep going." Billy padded along, both duck and human keeping their eyes peeled for anything out of the ordinary. A cave like this would normally be nothing more than a short pit stop to conserve and build up some heat, but the metal along the walls indicated that this had, or had previously had, a purpose for something greater. This, however, only seemed stranger when its placement so high up was taken into account. "Wah," Billy warned, gesturing forward with a wane. Grace squinted into the darkness, the uniform gray of the walls giving way to something a slightly different color. Grace slid off the duck and moved forward, the anomaly slowly clearing into a door. It stood about 8 feet tall with a large handle. Hesitant, the human removed one of her gloves and waved her hand over it, a dusting of chemicals falling from her palm. "Wah?" Billy questioned. "It's an aerosol mixture of iodine and cyanoacrylate," Grace muttered. "They're usually found in things like superglue," but she backed away as parts of the bar of the handle changed color, turning purple. Grace's brow furrowed as she tried to understand at what she was looking. She had been expecting a handprint, but whatever had left behind the evidence she'd found wasn't human. The finger-like extensions that her spray showed were far too long, interspersed with dots that showed whatever had grabbed this handle last had bumps rising along its skin. "What the hell?" "Wah," Billy blinked, poking her with his beak. Grace turned, the duck gesturing with a wing at the bottom of his feet. "Wah, wah." "I can't understand you, Billy," Grace said. "Wah?" He pointed at the handle. "Wah?" He pointed at the floor, stepping on a space where neither had been before pulling away. He waved his wing over it in the same way Grace had when she was dusting the door. A wah. "Okay." Grace waved her hand over the space, leaving a dusting of the same chemicals there. Her eyes widened slowly as Billy's footprint appeared, bearing the same dots as those on the handle. "Billy, you're a genius. You recognized those dots as, wait. Those prints are from a bird?" Grace turned back to the door, confirming that, though the dots were slightly different as to be expected, they were similar enough to support Billy's hypothesis. "That's one big-ass bird," she muttered. Billy nodded. "Smart, too, if it can open doors." "Wah? Yeah, let's see if we can find it." A smile stretched over Grace's lips as she took hold of the handle. "A creature like that, I want to paint it." Billy swallowed heavily as she opened the door, a slow squeak echoing down the tunnel. Grace slid through quickly, dripping the lubricant onto the hinges. Billy pushed the metal door open the rest of the way, the whole thing now silent. The area beyond was clearly more well-kept than the outside, its walls a uniform, clean gray with sections painted the yellow of warning signs. Lights buzzed above, driving away all shadows. The hallway stretched before them, branching off at several points in the distance. The yellow paint on the wall beside them listed this area as DC2B. "This is a big place," Grace observed as a cold breeze snuck past them to blow down into the building. Billy shut the door in response, not wanting such wind to alert any inhabitants to their presence. Grace moved to the first intersection, waving her hand to use the same chemicals as she had before. Footprints appeared on the floor passing by the turn, each 18 inches in length with 3 thin, clawed toes ahead and 1 back claw behind. Grace knelt, inspecting them. "Whatever creature this is, it moves like it has the hips of a woman." "Wah, you can tell by the tilt of the feet," she explained. "At least, I think so. I've never seen footprints like these. Let's keep going." The pair followed the footprints around the next 2 corners before they just stopped in the middle of a hallway like any other. There was another door down at the end on the other side of another intersection, but no evidence that the creature they were tracking had made its way to it. "I don't understand, Billy," Grace muttered, dusting the rest of the hallway to no avail. "The prints are gone."
"Wah," the duck suggested, flapping his wings. "I don't think so," the chem woman said with a shake of her head. "It walked all the way here, so why would it start using its wings inside?" "I think you should listen to the bird," a feminine voice said from above them, a dangerous undertone lacing the words. Both Grace and Billy spun around, their EOF pipes attached to one wall high above. There, perched on one, was a curvy woman with green hair and a mischievous smile. He seems to know our kind best.
She was dressed in a green shirt that matched her hair, the word happy printed on it in a darker shade, and a pair of black shorts that showed off her yellow and orange legs. They were birds' legs ending in talons that matched the prints they had followed, and, where her arms should be, were wings decorated with pale green feathers. She licked her lips, the temperature around them falling. I thought I felt the air move. Looks like I get to have a bit of fun, too. It's been so long since I've got to hunt the prey on my own.
Grace and Billy screamed, running the other way. There's a door, Nami noted, the words biscuits room stenciled into the wall above it. Sanji overtook them, reaching the door first and forcing it open with a powerful kick. The inside of the room was far from the bleak, metal walls, the floor carpeted in a calming grass color and the walls decorated blue with images of clouds, birds, and rainbows. The pirates forced their way inside only to freeze, many eyes turning on them.
The motion that had been active stopped. Children of various ages turned to see the intruders, said children's heights ranging from 4 feet to over 20, easily dwarfing even Frankie. And there's kids now, Amy muttered, just perfect. Who are you? One of the giant children stuttered, a girl with short, black hair. The blonde boy beside her lost his grip on his soccer ball, the toy hitting the ground to show it was as tall as Frankie. What are you doing here? What do we do? Sanji hissed. No one said there would be brats here. Are you all from the outside? Another girl asked. This one much shorter than the others. I hear it's really big and pretty out there. Nami trailed off, unsure how to respond or explain their situation. Well, yes. Are you all the guys that were frozen in that hall? Another kid questioned. How did you get free? No one has ever gotten free before. No, wait, look, the giant, blonde boy said, his finger pointing at the group. Look at that guy. He looks just like my picture, a small boy commented, waving a crayon drawing. That means. He's a robot. Every other boy in the room yelled, stars in their eyes. They rushed Frankie, one pushing Jin to the side in his haste to get there. Frankie laughed as they surrounded him, the cyborg bringing his big arms up. You guys like robots, huh? He chuckled. Well, I'm actually a super cyborg, but check this out. I can change my hair with the press of a button. Flat top, afro, pompadour, cannon. So cool, the boys chorused. Look at the fluffy raccoon, one of the girls said, a group of them surrounding Chopper. I'm a reindeer. The doctor tried to protest to no avail. I've got an extra hand, Frankie bragged, his smaller hand coming out of his bigger one. You want to know what it's for? To super pick my nose. The boys surrounding him laughed. Hey, this guy's wearing a dress. It's a robe, Jin denied, trying to pull the hem of his outfit away from the grabbing hands of the kid tugging at it, the living, severed head still under his other arm. Said head tried to say something, but it was muffled in the side of Jin's clothing. Just electrocute the pests, Rum suggested in his mind.
Shut up, the monk mentally shot back. You've got a long, square nose, a girl giggled, pointing at Kaku. He tried to wave her off only for a shorter boy to jump and grab him by the nose. His government training kept Kaku from falling, leaving the boy dangling several inches off the ground. He laughed, swinging from the ex-assassin's nose, a position that was none too comfortable to the zone.
Please stop, Kaku muttered, his voice having that squeaky timbre that one has when their nose is plugged. This only made the kids around him laugh harder. This blonde guy had a curly eyebrow. Shut up, kid, Sanji yelled as he, too, was swarmed by children. Hey, get off. Alright everyone, all together, Frankie cheered, the boys around him copying the way he was rolling his arms. SSSS is super. SS is super, the kids echoed, striking the pose. So soft, several girls sighed, their hands and arms disappearing into the fur of Chopper's guard point, so fluffy. Kids, I'm more in a long nose, Kaku insisted. Watch this. The man pulled the kid off his face before he started to grow, the brown spots of his beast form covering his body as Kaku turned into a giraffe. The kids around him cried out in excitement, trying to climb over him as the man essentially became a living playground with a slide. You're not helping, Kaku, Sanji yelled. Eyebrow, children chanted. Shut up about my eyebrow, you little pests. What are we supposed to do with this? Amy demanded, gesturing at the room as it descended into chaos. Children clambered over Sanji and Jin, laughing at them for the aforementioned character traits, while Frankie and Kaku showed off and Chopper tried to escape. The doctor's escape, however, was waylaid as girls, undistracted by his guard point's fur, started scratching him under the chin. One of his legs began to thump against the floor uncontrollably. We need to get out of here, Nami replied, gesturing to the room. I don't want Ace out of my sight for longer than need be. Where she had indicated, one of the children separated from the rest of the crowd. It was the tall, dark-haired girl who had first spoken, the giant child gently walking over to the pair of women. She knelt to be more eye level with them, her blue eyes swimming with curiosity and, possibly, hope. So, she began, fiddling with her fingers. Are you all from the outside? We are, Amy nodded hesitantly. Why? The girl trailed off, clearly not used to interacting with grown-ups. Hi, I'm Mocha. That's a lovely name, Mocha, Nami said, setting one of her hands on Mocha's as she unconsciously slid to the motherly voice she always used with Ace. My name is Nami, and this is Amy. In case you forgot, we're being chased, Amy hissed to the navigator. Do you have a ship? Mocha asked. We do, Nami answered. She's a brig sloop with a lion figurehead and her name is the Thousand Sunny. Why do you ask? Does that mean you all are planning on leaving? Well, yes, we didn't exactly plan on being here.
Then, Mocha tapped her pointer fingers together, her big eyes glancing away. Would it be possible, could you take us with you?
You want us to? Hey, a voice yelled from the hallway. The door to the biscuit room is open. Crap, they're catching up, Nami hissed under her breath. She raised her voice. Everyone, we need to go. Several of the kids whined, Jin, Kaku, and Sanji peeling children off themselves as they finally stopped moving. I can breathe again, the head yelled. Falling out of the crook Jin had all but stuffed him into. Hey, do you children know a child named Momonosuke? The children blinked, their brains trying to comprehend the sight of this bodiless head on the floor yelling at them. They screamed, running away from it. Shut up, you moron, Sanji yelled, punting the head like a ball. Said head let out a cry of pain as it spun through the air before impacting a giant letter block. I cannot stop, the head rebuffed, a lump rising out of his hair. I must find my boy, I need to know where Momonosuke is. Children screamed again. The pirates are in here. A man dressed in a yellow hazmat suit called from the doorway. A host of other similarly dressed people streaming into the room. They're scaring the children.
Everyone run, Jin shouted, scooping up the head. The rest of the straw hats in the area and Kaku followed his lead, fleeing the opposite direction. Tears leaked from Mocha's eyes as she watched the retreating backs of the newcomers before she seemed to make a decision.
Take us with you, she begged, the girl pushing herself to her the group. The rest of the children did the same, one child carrying a basket with a baby taller than even Brooke. They're keeping us here because they say we're sick, but we aren't sick anymore, we want to go home now. Sick? Chopper questioned only for Kaku to scoop him up. What do you mean sick? Take us with you. The other kids demanded, those who were giants carrying those who were not to quickly catch up to the pirates. Please, we want to go home. Shit. One of the covered workers cursed, lowering his rifle. The kids are in the way. Then we'll have to catch them on foot, another growled, giving chase with an odd, galloping gait. Capture the pirates. You're pirates? One of the kids asked. That a problem? Jin grunted. It doesn't matter, Mocha yelled. They were reaching the end of the room, the other exit laying before them. Sanji reached it first, the blonde kicking the metal from its hinges. Please save us, we don't want to be here anymore. We want to go home. Nami slowed to a stop, her eyes shadowed. We need to go, Sanji insisted. Come on, Nami. But she tried to protest. It's not our job to help every person we meet. They said they were sick, so this could be a hospital for all we know. Sanji withered under the navigator's glare as she came to a decision. What are ya doing, Donna? Jin questioned. We gotta go. We are going to save these kids, Nami said. No room for argument. As a mother myself, I can't just stand to the side while these kids talk about wanting to go back to their own parents. I refuse to leave them behind. Jin. The monk snapped to attention. Give these guys a shock. A devious smile spread over Jin's lips as he dropped the head. Yes, Donna. And he was on the other side, electric wings flaring behind him as a net of lightning divided the room in half. The men in hazmat suits jumped, one unable to stop as he ran into the divider and yelped, creating a larger version of what happens when a bug meets an electric fly swatter. Two of them brought their guns up and fired, the bullets pinging off Jin's armament hockey. My apologies, y'all, Jin chuckled. 'Twas your fates cross th, Straw Hat Pirates, so it's your fates fall. I'd say it's nothing personal, but y'all pissed off th, Donna and I don't wanna lie. Don't think you can have all the fun alone, Frankie laughed, planting himself on one side as his body opened to reveal various weapons. I'm feeling extra super right now. Don't count me out, Sanji commented, lighting a cigarette with Jin electric net. Nami's made up her mind, and I can't help but be at the beck and call of a pretty lady. I'll leave them to you, Nami said. Everyone else, come with me. We're getting these kids out of here. Put it on top, Grandpa Brook, Ace cheered, jumping up and down. Brook grinned as well as a skeleton without skin nor lips kid and topped off the snowman with a smaller sphere of snow. Ace smiled as Brook lifted him up, the toddler pushing buttons and scrap metal onto the face of the snowman. Brook set him down as he finished, the undead pulling his crown-like hat off with a flourish before plopping it on top of the newest, tallest snowman of the bunch. On done. Old, formerly deceased musician and young pirate legacy alike stood back and admired their handwork on the shoreline, a host of snow-based simulacrums of their crew staring back. Said snowmen were not heavily detailed, but each boasted enough details to differentiate which represented each member of the crew. The tallest one, that of Brook himself, was 5 snowballs tall. Most of the rest boasted 3 while those of Chopper and Ace were only 2. They look great, Sunny clapped from atop her cross-sail. I wish I could have helped. It's okay, Sunny, Ace said, raising his arms so Brook could lift him onto his shoulder. Ace grabbed a handful of the skeleton's afro to stay balanced. Uncle Frankie'll make you a way to come with us at some point. We'll make snowmen together then. And look, you're the one that looks the closest. The boy gestured to the snowman that represented Sunny's Klabouterman, said Klabouterman mostly lacking color and being an indistinct, humanoid form at this stage. Rahahaha, Sunny laughed, agreeing with the captain's son. Guess so. I think they turned out wonderfully, Brook commented, taking in the semicircle of vague copies. They took a moment, admiring them. Suddenly, however, the snowmen on the far left, those representing Amy, Zoro, Robin, and Billy started to shift, their top halves sliding down and falling to the ground. The one representing Chopper just avoided the slash that ruined the taller images. Hey, Ace yelled as the 4 simulacrums fell apart. In their place stood a being wielding a sword, though stood may not be the proper word. The thing was only a male torso clad in an orange outfit with a black and white striped pattern on one side and a red belt around the waist. 2 scabbards hung at its side, one empty. While both the legs and head were missing, the area that would have connected with the neck only a black circle. The torso was balanced on one hand, its other filled with the katana it had used to slice the snowmen apart. Dear me, Brook cried. That's so weird, Ace laughed. Grandpa Brook, have you seen something like this before? Of course not, the torso lunged, Brook grabbing Ace and diving away. Stay away, Sunny yelled, the boom of a cannon echoing through the area. The torso backflipped as the snow where it had been exploded with the impact of a cannonball. We do not want to kill it, Brook reminded the living ship while he drew Soul Solid, Ace landing in the snow beside him. Have it thee. The swords in use met with a clang, Brook's arm shaking as he contended with the headless, legless foe. The torso spun, forcing Brook into a series of blocks that caused him to rapidly backtrack. Stop, Sunny ordered, a half-dozen ropes flying from her rigging toward the thing. Their foe barely paused, its sword spinning to cut the ropes to pieces. What? How are you doing that without eyes? Brook cried as the torso turned back toward him. Although, I do not have eyes either, so I suppose I'm the last person that can question such a thing. His eye sockets narrowed as he was forced to block the thing as it lunged for Ace. Alright, that is enough. You will not get close to young Ace lest you kill me first. As a skeleton, you cannot kill me anyway. Yo-ho-ho. Gee-hee-hee. The toddler laughed. Skull joke. We've got more company, Sunny warned as yellow figures rose out of the snow, weapons trained on the 3.5 beings. It's more of those guys that Andy Grace beat up, Ace laughed. Damn it. One of the figures cursed. How are we supposed to move the ship like Master ordered when it's alive? What happened to the guys we had on board? We'll figure it out or die trying, another said. Kill the skeleton, the samurai body, and the ship if you have to, but don't hit the kid. We'll take him and put him in the biscuit room with the others. This island is way more funner than Mommy thought it'd be, Ace giggled. Go, Grandpa Brook, beat him up. This is certainly unique, Robin commented as the exploration group took in the sight of the central lake. Unique is one way to put it, Usopp grunted, gesturing at the water. Half of it is on fire and what isn't is full of ice. Unique nothing, that's impossible.
You can't say something is impossible when it's right in front of you, Coby said with a shake of his head. It's definitely weird, though.
Bigger problem, Mary noted. How are we gonna get across? I guess we could try going around, but that doesn't feel like the Straw Hat way. I know, Luffy grinned. We'll swim across. Please recall, Captain, that you, Coby, and I cannot swim, the archaeologist reminded. What, do you want me, Mary, and Usopp to carry you on our backs? Zoro questioned. Why not? Luffy asked. Mary and Robin tilted their heads in tandem, Coby practically able to see a cartoon proposed idea. The image ended with cartoon Usopp gurgling, he and cartoon Coby sinking into the deep. Yeah, not a fan, Coby sighed. He rocked the dragon egg in his grip, his other hand coming up to stroke his chin in thought. Hey, Usopp. You had some sort of boat thing back in Kazanensen, didn't you? What? Usopp blinked. Oh, yeah, I've got the perfect thing. The sniper reached into his belt of seeds, pulling out 2. He turned to the right, shooting for first one before rapidly firing the second into the water. Green stars, fangrass and Bodhi banana. Oh, I remember this, Mary nodded, jumping into the giant, banana-shaped plant boat. And we can use my fangrass as paddles, Usopp added with a smirk, breaking off a frond from the earthbound flora. Its stalks were tall and thin but ended with a large, flat flare on the end. You've got so many cool plans, Usopp. Luffy grinned. He jumped, balancing on the front of the banana while the others each grabbed a fan grass frond and piled in. Hey, do you think we'll see any other centaurs? I would predict such a thing is highly likely, Robin responded. Where one is present, more are sure to be. That is the nature of ecosystems. I can't wait, the captain grinned. The legs in his grip kicked, the rubber man wobbling as he compensated for the disturbance. Hey, legs, stop moving around so much. We've already established they can't hear you, Captain, Coby reminded him. Poot, the legs yelled. Never have I fought such a battle. Are you the magic swordsman? These things are funny. Luffy laughed. Release that captive child. The legs continued. Luffy froze, his smile falling away as his eyes narrowed. The young father's crewmates watched as his sense of wanderlust fell away in moments. Everyone, hurry up, he ordered. If somebody has ace, we can't waste another second. Yes, Captain, the group chorused, redoubling the paddling as they made their way to the opposite shore. I don't understand, Billy, Grace muttered. The prints are gone. Wah, the duck suggested, flapping his wings. I don't think so, the chem woman said with a shake of her head. It walked all the way here, so why would it start using its wings inside? I think you should listen to the bird, a feminine voice said from above them, a dangerous undertone lacing the words. Both Grace and Billy spun around, their eyes rising to a line of pipes attached to one wall high above. There, perched on one, was a curvy woman with green hair and a mischievous smile. She was dressed in a green shirt that matched her hair, the word happy printed on it in a darker shade, and a pair of black shorts that showed off her yellow and orange legs. They were birds' legs ending in talons that matched the prints they had followed and, where her arms should be, were wings decorated with pale green feathers. She licked her lips, the temperature around them falling. I thought I felt the air move. Looks like I get to have a bit of fun, too. It's been so long since I've got to hunt the prey on my own. Grace and Billy screamed, running the other way. The cackling laughter of the harpy followed them through the halls as the human and bird tried to backtrack the way they'd come, their footsteps pounding against the floor with no concern for the noise they were making. Wah, Billy said. If that's a wisecrack about me wanting to find the monster, I don't want to hear it, Grace snarled. Come ba, CK. The woman called, the flapping of her wings in the air as she flew after them. I just want a bite, you'll barely feel a thing. Stay away, Grace yelled back, racking her brain for a compound she could use even as natural adrenaline flooded her mind. They reached a corner and turned, Billy flapping his wings to spin so he faced their pursuer. He squawked, launching a bolt of electricity at the bird woman. A crack echoed through the hallway as the smell of ozone appeared. The harpy didn't so much as pause. Her abdomen seemed to swirl in on itself, turning a blinding white thick as the snowstorm outside. The duck's lightning impacted this swirling section, a part of it turning clear before blending back into the white until the whole thing shifted back to the normal color of her skin. Wah in Terabang, Billy cried, his talons digging into the tile floor as he corrected his angle and ran down the hallway, catching up to Grace who had pulled ahead while his back was turned. The harpy's shrieking laugh followed them. Devil fruit, Grace muttered. She spun, yellow-green gas pouring from her clothes into the air. Chemical bending. Reused reaction. The gas spread down the hallway, filling it with the same color that had previously covered the sunny. The harpy laughed again and Grace imagined that she would have clapped if she had hands to do so. Freezing winds blew after a couple powerful flaps from the mythological monster, the gas losing its heat and sinking to the floor as something akin to a liquid state. That was a good try, the green-haired being mocked. Too bad it wouldn't have worked on me anyway. I've got an idea, Billy, Grace muttered, swinging into the saddle on his back around the next turn so she could focus, the turn itself making the gas along the floor puff up. A swirling, colorless ball began to form between the redhead's hands as she pulled the required atoms from the air around them. She leaned forward, holding the ball so the duck could see it, the sphere now about the size of a baseball. When I say so, turn and hit this with a bolt. Got it. Wah, oh, the harpy grinned. Grace glanced back to see her mouth had filled with sharp, blindly white teeth and her skin had paled. Billy made a final turn, the door they had entered through now directly ahead of them. What have you prepared, my prey? Grace rolled the clear ball into her left hand, an argon whip forming in her other hand with a single thought. She threw it forward, lashing the end around the handle of the door and yanking it open with a pull. The cold of the outside air rushed into the building, Billy's speed quickly carrying the pirates from the structured hallway and into the cave. Now, Billy spun as Grace threw her clear creation behind them, the gas within spreading out. Electricity sparked, the gigafowl releasing a bolt of lightning into it. The gas exploded into a conflagration of burning reds, yellows, and oranges on contact, shaking the whole mountain. The harpy screeched within the boom of the blast, the expanding gases blowing Billy and Grace off their feet, through the rocky tunnel, and out into the snow in a rush of black smoke. The two began to freefall, the winds buffeting them, while the tunnel collapsed. Wah, Billy flapped, trying to fight the winds and the pain of the burns that had scorched away parts of his feathers. Grace ragdolled just out of his reach, the young woman making no sound of her own as gravity pulled the pair down into the side of the mountain. Billy stretched himself, just managing to get his beak around one of Grace's arms. The top of the mountain rumbled as Billy tried to slow their fall, Grace unresponsive in his insecure hold. He transferred his hold, grabbing the woman's waist with his talons, before turning his attention to the rumble. His eyes widened. The top of the mountain was shaking, flows of white starting down its side and building in intensity. Billy cursed in avian and turned, trying to fly away, but the air around him was already starting to move. It pulled at him, dragging him backwards as the coming avalanche sucked air below, speeding itself up. Lacking the raw power needed to press forward, the displaced snow fell over both bird and unconscious human, sweeping them away.
Higher up and within the mountain, a comparatively small amount of snow pulled itself together inside the ruined hallway. The harpy reformed from this powder, coughing up smoke as she winced. Soot covered her form, burns running over her exposed skin and patches of her wings. One wing pressed against her side as she tried to open her eyes.
That bitch tried to blow me up, she hissed to herself. She looked up, what had been her special doorway to the outside now nothing more than a blocked-off pile of rubble. The walls and floor were cracked, the origins of such buried under several tons of rock. Cold air blew into the building through it. "Miss Monet," a voice called, the woman turning to see a contingent of hazmat suit-clad workers running down the hallway. "Miss Monet, are you alright?" "Does it look like I'm alright?" she demanded. "We're compromised. We have loose intruders that just escaped outside, a woman that can create gases and a bird with the abilities of lightning. She knew about the sleep gas used on ships that come in, so inform the master and get in contact with the boarding crew. Capture them, but I want the girl alive. She's mine."
"Yes, ma'am." The workers scattered, some to search the building for areas now at risk of coming down while the others went to inform the master of this unfavorable turn of events. Monet turned back to her own problems, slowly healing herself with her devil fruit powers.
"She better have survived that, because I want to rip her throat out personally."
Odd obeyed right hand strike. Brooke called, his pink flash of air piecing the shoulder of yet another covered man as he as his similarly dressed companions tried to encircle him. "Begone. No one shall lay a hand on my captain's son until I wither away to nothing. Although, I suppose I've already done a bit of withering, haven't I? Yo ho ho."
"Don't hurt my grandpa," Ace yelled, stabbing another attacker in the leg with his very sharp stick. The man let out a cry of pain as his leg stopped supporting his weight and he crumpled. "Just go away, you meanies."
"There's only 3 of them and one is a kid." The apparent head of the group shouted, the man waving a gun at them. "We shouldn't be having this much." He didn't get to finish, a cannonball hitting the ground beside him in a spray of snow and earth. The force knocked H off their feet.
"Rahahaha," Sunny laughed, her clabouterman clinging to the rigging as she overlooked the battle. "No one touches my family and gets away with it." "Damn fairies," a man hissed as he pressed his back into a snowbank, another cannonball blowing another group away. How the hell did they manage that? No pirates with a clabouterman have made it past Fishman Island in a year. Something crunched beside him, the man slowly turning to see the headless and legless torso of the samurai balanced on one hand. Its other held one of its 2 swords, the light glimmering off its blade. The man swallowed. "This is so fun," Ace laughed as a whip of rope lashed down from Sunny, grabbing the ankle of a man that was ready to catch Ace from behind. The living ship hoisted him up, smacking him into the snow-covered ground to leave a silhouette in the powder. Ace, unaware of this, smacked his very sharp stick into the leg of the closest enemy with all his considerable for a toddler strength, the man jumping with a yelp. Sunny knocked him out of the air. "Gee. We need reinforcements." A man cried into the snail he'd taken from his unconscious leader's pocket. "The ship is alive and there were pirates that managed to escape the gas, and the samurai's torso is here. They're cutting us down like wheat." As he finished, a great boom echoed across the island from the direction of the mountain, though nothing could be seen through the snowstorm. The torso dropped its sword and tried to cover its ears, though there were no ears to cover. "Master," the suited men called in a chorus, worry in their voices. Sunny took the chance to knock them all off their feet, using the one she had a hold of with her rope as an improvised flail. "Rahahaha." Sunny continued to laugh only for the ship girl to cut herself off. She jerked, her head whipping the other way as something pinged in her senses. At almost the same time, an ice floe that had blocked the route to the sea crumpled, opening that passage. A ship decorated blue and white sailed through, G5 painted on its sails and with the marine gull flying from the masts. "Ah shit." The pirate ship cursed. "Marines to our backs." "Marines?" Brooke echoed. "That does not bode well." On the Navy vessel, a similar air of unease was falling on her crew. "I know that flag," the leader of the Marines growled, the amount of smoke billowing from his dual cigars doubling. "The Straw Hats are here just like we thought." "But how did they get here so quickly?" the woman at his side questioned. "We were sailing here all the way through the Neo Marines debacle and they still beat us." I mean, we did have that storm, one of the men commented, wholly unconcerned about his superior's grudges. And had to resupply, another added. And he had to get over those hangovers after resupplying. Then we ran into that other pirate crew and had to fight them. Then we had to make repairs. And, shut up, Smoker roared. Prepare to land alongside that ship, am I clear in Terabang?
Yes sir, Smokey. The crew set about readying in case of combat only for the ship to shiver under their feet. They froze, metaphorically even though the temperature was low enough that such a thing in a literal sense was a concern, and turned their eyes on the brig sloop ahead. The battleship slowed without any input from the Marines.
What? Tashigi muttered, her eyes being drawn to a vaporous figure in the rigging of the pirate vessel. It had one hand thrust out toward them. What is that? I'll bet it's the Straw Hat's second Klabouterman, Smoker grunted. He grit his teeth, unbidden memories of the War of the Best flashing through his mind. They already made one, so of course they could make another. Men, prepare to land, but I don't want to hear any of you suggesting stupid things like hoisting them over a bonfire. I don't want to fight the Straw Hats if we don't have to. The ship below them jolted at his words, its forward momentum returning. A glance at the figure above confirmed that their hand had lowered, but their head followed their path. Commodore Smokey. The lookout yelled. There's a fight happening on the shore. I don't know how to describe it, it's weird. Isn't everything in this go to Forsaken Ocean? Tashigi muttered before raising her voice. Find a way to describe it, sailor. There's a skeleton, a toddler, and torso without a head or legs fighting a group of people in yellow hazmat suits while the pirate ship swings one of the guys around. Tashigi blinked. That is weird, she admitted. Smoker dispelled into smoke as his devil fruit allowed. The man floating his parts to the roof of the crow's nest on the Straw Hat's ship. The hazy figure was there when he put himself back together, the man being sure to do so slowly with his hands up. Up close, he could see that the figure was not one color. A near ring of burgeoning red around the top of its head and shadows giving it definition. It was also rather tall, coming up to his nose. And you are? The Klabouterman asked, the unconscious man on the rope rising to their height to hang threateningly by the ankle. Smoker noted that the hazmat suit he wore would protect him from the kind of toxic gas that the Marines had been forced to sail through to get here. I am Commodore Smoker, the acting head of Marine Branch G5. I don't want to fight. We are pirates. I know that. And your power? A logia. The plume fruit. It lets me turn into and manipulate smoke. Hey, Smokey. One of the Marines yelled. Do you need some help up there or are you good in Terabang? I mean, it'll take us a while to get there, but we can try. The figure snorted in their attempt to hold back a laugh. A mouth spread across the face in a smile. Idly, they swung their arm, the rope with the man swinging down in a mirrored movement to brush off a small group that had been trying to climb the starboard side. Your men are funny, Smokey, and I like your name, the Klabouterman said. I'll only fight you if you make me. Or if Captain Luffy or Mrs. Nami say so, but they aren't here right now. Then can you explain what the hell is going on here? And I trust you have a name. I'm Sunny, the Thousand Sunny, and those guys down there attacked us. Brooke, Ace, and I are only defending ourselves. You gonna help or just watch? Will you talk with me when the fight's over, maybe? Smoker sighed before he looked over the relative chaos below. The organized men were easy to pick out in their yellow against the white of the snow. Again, Smoker broke into an undefined form, flowing downward. His mass spread over the battlefield, taking hold of men and drawing them together into a single bundle. What in Terabang? One of them questioned only to catch sight of the man's uniform as Smoker rematerialized. The Navy? The Navy? Brooke echoed, picking up Ace. The Navy? Ace questioned. Like the guy's old man Garp works for? Easy there, Soul King, Smoker grunted, the Marine ship pulling up alongside the Sunny. I'm not here for you and yours. We? He stopped, spinning around as he drew his jute. It clanged against the sword of the torso the lookout had warned him about. He's not with us, Brooke shouted, backtracking. The Commodore sidestepped 2 swings before jabbing his weapon into the torso's chest and pressing its back into the snow. The strength in its arms left as the Marine kept it pinned. All right, Smokey, Sunny said, the man turning his head to see the Klabouterman sitting on her own railing. Now we can talk. The Bodhi banana continued to slide through the low waves of the circular lake, every stroke causing their breaths to condensate more visibly than the last. To go along with this, a white mist also began to grow around them as the droplets of water in the air also felt the increasing cold. The crewmates aboard the herbal boat strained their arms as they pulled the plant ship through the water, the air around them rapidly losing its heat as the flames behind them shrunk. The water around lightened in color as, out of ice started to appear in the small whirlpools their plant paddles made. Soon, however, the little chunks were replaced by pieces the size of their heads until the crew were having to paddle past whole ice floes large enough for all of them to stand on comfortably. This cold cannot be good for this egg, Coby commented, the young man trying to cradle it as per his captain's instructions to share his body heat and keep the egg from freezing. Robin provided her own assistance, several pairs of arms having grown to wrap the squishy dragon to be in something like a hug. It'll be fine, Luffy waved off, it's not that cold. Maybe not to you, Captain, but the temperature is rapidly dropping. Luffy, we've got shadows ahead, Usopp warned as they rounded another near glacier, several dark shapes shifting in the mist around them. I think they can see us, too. You're sure these aren't the same shadows you saw 2 minutes ago? Zoro muttered. The ones that turned out to be just ice? I'm sure these are actual things, Zoro. Usopp sniped back. I can't be the only one that can see them.
No, Uncle Usopp is right, Mary put in, her senses telling her as much. They're waiting on the shore and I don't think they're gonna be friendly.
Do you think you could throw me to the shore, Captain? Coby questioned, trying to judge the distance. The fog made it a little harder but it was still doable. There's only 24 of them or so and they aren't that strong. Any one of us could take them out easily enough if we got close. Well, except Usopp. Hey, the sniper yelled as the others chuckled. I'll have you know I could win against them if I wanted to. Maybe not up close like you all, but I could do it. Poot, the legs yelled. This is a very interesting battle. I wish to know whom I am crossing blades with. The pirates ignored the talking legs with surprising ease. Yes, Usopp, you're very strong, Robin placated. Although, considering the slim possibility that my eyes may be deceiving me, does there appear to be some component about our potential adversaries that seems uncommon? The mist started to lift as Robin finished speaking, the multicolored coats of very much not ice humanoids coming into view. They stood at a variety of heights that were all taller than the average person and, at their center, was a man far taller and wider than any of the others. Atop his head was a tricorn hat and in his hands was a massive sword. His most distinctive facial feature was his beard of brown hair, such having been meticulously braided into 3 braids side by side. In addition to that, centaurs. Luffy cheered as the lower bodies of the people standing on the shore came into view. Most of the people had the legs and bodies of ungulates, those being deer, horses, zebras, or other hooves mammals, but the biggest man of the bunch had the body of a crocodile attached to his waist. He studied them closely as the Bodhi banana drew closer. So cool.
Most of those I can understand, Mary commented, but the tall guy confuses me. Aren't crocodiles cold-blooded?
Then he should feel just fine in this weather, Zoro nodded. That's not what that means, Zoro-sensei, Coby admonished, smacking his teacher in the back of the head. The hell was that for, shrimp? The Verde yelled. That was for being a moron. Cold-blooded means that an animal can't make its own heat, Usopp offered. Additionally, humans are warm-blooded, Robin added. Therefore, something of the level of a crocodile centaur should be, theoretically, impossible. So should burning water, Mary pointed out. You have no room to talk about impossibilities, Coby commented. You're the manifestation of a ship come to life without the use of any devil fruit. Fair enough, Mary acquiesced. My existence aside, can we agree on the most likely cause of that? She gestured to the group standing on land in the snow. Devil fruit, the rest of her crewmates chorused with unanimous nods. And who are they probably working for? The master, every person except Luffy said. That big guy. The pirates turned to their captain, the young father tilting his head at their incredulous looks. What, in my experience, usually if there's one big guy and a group of smaller guys, then the big guy is in charge. That is, a decent argument, Coby admitted. Could the big guy there be the master the giraffe guy was trying to call? Let's talk to him and find out. Luffy dropped the legs into the boat and climbed onto the cross-section that was leading them forward. Hey, centaur guys, hi, I like your legs. You are, the big guy trailed off. One of his hands let go of his sword to rest on his heart. Oh, well, thank you. That's really nice of you, all of the centaurs on the shoreline said. I don't know how he does it, Coby sighed. Stupid, broken charisma. So, can you all help us? Luffy asked. See, we came to this island because our snail started crying and some guy was yelling about a samurai, which is apparently this really strong type of swordsman that one of our swordsmen really wants to fight. But then we got on this island and got attacked by a dragon. Oh, that thing, the man with the crocodile legs nodded. I've heard it's really scary. We'll fry a man with one breath and eat a man with another, that thing. I've lost a few boys to it in the past few months. I know, right? Luffy nodded. So he killed and ate it. The centaur's eyes bugged out at the nonchalant statement. You ate the red dragon in Terabang. Yeah, it was real tasty. The Bodhi banana was decently close to the shoreline at this point. The pirates now able to see the individual patterns on the centaur's winter coats. Kinda spicy, though. Probably cause it breathed fire. Anyway, we went back to our ship only to find it gone. You guys live here, right? Do you know where it might be? The big man stroked his beard and stared off into the distance, the Bodhi banana bumping against the frozen earth. It's possible the master had it moved, he said after a moment's pause. You all were docked on the burning half of the island where it's really hot, and most ships are made of wood. If it stayed there for too long, it could have caught fire, so it might be over on this side of the island.
Ah, boss, one of the other centaurs muttered, this one with the legs of an antelope. If their ship moved, then the master probably took their crewmates captive and these guys are enemies.
What? The big guy questioned. Nonsense. These fine folks are nice people. I'm sure the master wouldn't hurt such nice folks. I'm sure there's just been some kind of misunderstanding. At that moment, an echoing boom resonated from the direction of the mountain, every sentient in the area flinching at the sound. What was that? Mary yelled, looking up to see a plume of dark smoke starting to disperse. That came from an upper floor of the lab. The lone girl among the four-legged beings noted, and it looks like the explosion triggered an avalanche. Avalanche? Luffy questioned, the word tickling a memory in the back of his mind. We've been in one of those before, haven't we? Back on Drum Island, Coby nodded. Man, that was cold. Luffy blinked, suddenly hugging himself. Shit, it's really cold out here. You're only now noticing Interrobang, the rest of his crewmates demanded. That snow is really coming down, the big guy said, and it's coming straight toward us. Come with us. We'll get you coats inside and get this whole mess sorted out, okay?
Yeah, that sounds good, Luffy agreed before pulling the bodiless legs out of the Bodhi banana. Several of the centaurs bucked at the sight.
What is that? One of them demanded, pointing his gun at the things. What did you do? Oh, we didn't do this. Luffy waved off with a smile. We found them like this. Sometimes they'll even say funny things. He shook the legs.
Poot, they said. The draft has gotten worse. Are we going in or not? Coby questioned, gesturing to the coming snow.
Ah, right, the big guy urgency than Coby believed he should have. Follow us. We are going to save these kids, Nami said. No room for argument. As a mother myself, I can't just stand to the side while these kids talk about wanting to go back to their own parents. I refuse to leave them behind. Jin. The monk snapped to attention. Give these guys a shock. A devious smile spread over Jin's lips as he dropped the head. Yes, Donna. And he was on the other side, electric wings flaring behind him as a net of lightning divided the room in half. The men in hazmat suits jumped, one unable to stop as he ran into the divider and yelped, creating a larger version of what happens when a bug meets an electric fly swatter. Two of them brought their guns up and fired, the bullets pinging off Jin's armament hockey. My apologies, y'all, Jin chuckled. 'Twas your fates cross th, straw hat pirates, so 'tis your fates fall. I'd say it's nothing personal, but y'all pissed off th, Donna and I don't wanna lie. Don't think you can have all the fun alone, Frankie laughed, planting himself on one side as his body opened to reveal various weapons. I'm feeling extra super right now. Don't count me out, Sanji commented, lighting a cigarette with Jin's electric net. Nami's made up her mind, and I can't help but be at the beck and call of a pretty lady. I'll leave them to you, Nami said. Everyone else, come with me. We're getting these kids out of here. The sounds of battle, the crashing of objects breaking, and the cries of pain started to echo as Nami, Chopper, Amy, and Kaku led the children out of the biscuit room's back door. Come on, everyone, Nami called, ushering them along, this way. Do you know where we're going? Amy muttered. Not a clue, Nami smiled. That's it, kids. Follow the animal doctor and the funny giraffe man holding the head. Giraffe man? Several of the children echoed. Neither woman decided to elaborate as Kaku and Chopper took the lead, the latter shifting into his walk point to stay ahead. That seemed to distract several of the kids. Mr. Raccoon turned into a pony. I'm a reindeer, the doctor insisted. So what now? Amy questioned as they made their way down the hall. I'm sure those guys can handle it. Nami waved off. Why don't you leave some sort of trail they can follow to catch up to us? Amy reached out, ripping a pipe off the wall that blew out a puff of steam. She spun it in her grip before jabbing the end into the floor. Her kilo powers ran through it, the woman dragging it so it left a trench in the material. I don't have my umbrella, but will this work? Yeah, that works. I can do this, too. The women looked up to see Chopper shifting through his points, much to the delight of the children. Heavy point, guard point, horn point. What? A voice ahead of them yelled, a group of workers staring at them. The children are loose. Now you all get to see my new kung fu point. Wa-cha, Chopper flipped forward, his hooves a blur as he laid waste to the workers in their way. Blunt Tempest Kick, the ex-agent called, a swing of his leg launching a thick arc of air forward. It acted almost like a bat or a moving wall, blowing workers off their feet. What form of magic is this? The head in Kaku's hands questioned. How can one perform such acts without a sword? Are you a type of yokai? I'm just a guy who trained really hard, Kaku waved off. What? The head said. What's this? Oh, all of my parts are now on the same side. What are you talking about? My body is currently battling someone in the snow, where I cannot tell you save it is cold. And now my legs are cold as well. I am that much closer to reuniting. These two are silly, one of the girls giggled. Nami, there's a door ahead, Chopper informed them. At his warning, Nami sped up, overtaking each of the kids so she took the lead of the group. They came to a stop before a massive door with a big handle in the shape of a ship's steering wheel. Nami reached up, trying the handle. Crap, it's locked, she hissed. Allow me, then. Wah-cha, Chopper jumped, giving a showy spin before kicking the door off its hinges, causing the children to ooh and ah, clapping. Thank you, thank you. You're awesome, Mr. Raccoon. I am not a raccoon. But you do look like one in that form, Nami chuckled. She stopped as a freezing breeze rolled past them, her sheer cover-up doing precious little to keep in heat. Geez, is this a way outside? It's too cold? Feels perfect to me, the doctor said. You're from a winter island, the navigator shot back. There might be a problem going through this hallway, Kaku commented, his extensive investigative training allowing him to look deeper into the revealed passage. I ain't no expert or anything, but everything in here is frozen solid, and I ain't talking about just metal. There are bodies in here. Bodies in Terabang? The pirates questioned. They squinted as their eyes adjusted to the darkness of the frozen hallway, the walls and floor's innards slowly becoming visible. Within were rows and rows of immobile people, each dressed in the black and white stripes of prisoners. Nami and Chopper grabbed each other, screaming. This is the way those guys brought me in here, Mocha told them, her hands balled in fists by her chest as the young girl tried to work through the memories. Well, that is disconcerting, Amy said, sounding oddly like Robin about the whole deal. It looks like these guys might have been involved in the Impel Down breakout 2 years ago. I wonder if they're still alive. That is none of our concern, Nami swallowed. If this path goes outside, then we should take it. A boom echoed from above, the whole building shaking. Every member of the group wobbled, trying to keep their balance until the phenomena ended. In response to this, one of the frozen walls cracked. Never mind, we'll find another way, Nami yelped, she and Chopper leading the way while Amy and Kaku brought up the rear, the children sandwiched between them. Ow! The voice of the crew's cyborg called from behind them, the group looking back to see Frankie rolling toward them on tank treads coming from his shins. Jin and Sanji were clinging to his sides. The boys in the group cheered at the awesomeness of tanks and robots. What's up, guys? We super followed your trail after beating those guys up. There's some weird combo of sheep and man, horns and all. Yeah, Jin agreed, like a discount Mary, really. What was that explosion, though? Sanji questioned, it sounded huge. Never mind that, Nami said. There has to be a door around here somewhere. That creepy ice trap can't be the only exit. I feel weakened all of a sudden, the head muttered. Everyone ignored him. There, Kaku called, kicking into the air with moonwalk. I see another door ahead. Wait, make that too, they're side by side. Chopper, can you do the same thing you did last time? Nami asked. Screw that, I want to turn. Amy cut in. The young mother turned to look at her only for the baker to leap over the group in a single jump, landing with a small crater ahead of them. She launched forward, each step leaving a dent in the metal floor, until she reached the door and reeled back her arm. Master Fist. And that's the long and short of it, Sunny finished, the incomplete Klabouterman having convinced Smoker to sit beside her on the railing for posterity's sake. Ace sat on her lap, giggling as he played with his toy recreation of the Going Merry, while Brooke played a concert for the rest of the Marines. Toshigi watched all of this from the sidelines, within earshot of the conversation from the railing while making sure none of the men got out of hand from their impromptu entertainment. The torso had its arms tied behind its back with smoke, its swords being inspected by the woman. If it had a face, Sunny imagined its expression would be very disgruntled. We answered a call, Captain Luffy and his group went looking, and the rest of us got knocked out for the most part. Then we woke up here. Thenims of whomever has made this island their home, Smoker grunted. He mulled over the information, chewing on his cigars as he did. A dozen different ways to go about this flashed through his mind alongside memories that spawned each. No matter what, he certainly wasn't going to call headquarters and ask for assistance. Not from anyone loyal to the Mad Dog, anyway.
So why are you all here, Smokey? Sunny asked, one of her hands petting Ace's head. She noted the way Smoker was eyeing the hat that hung behind the boy's back but would not mention it until Smoker made a move, assuming he would. I mean, I guess you could have chased us here, but I don't think that's it. You would have attacked first otherwise.
That's true, the Commodore sighed, having already failed to dissuade the spirit from that horrible nickname his men insisted on. When the Neo Marines debacle started, the fleet admiral called me a wild card and ordered me here to investigate rumors. What rumors? Smoker considered his words. If he could convince the Straw Hats to not get in his way, or to even to fight alongside him, that could go a long way to preventing catastrophe. They say someone has taken up residence in the old lab here, picking up on forgotten research the world government declared too dangerous. We're here to check in and, if it's true, put a stop to it. Well, someone is here and they attacked us for no reason, Sunny said. You won't see us helping them. And when he learns that Mrs. Nami got kidnapped, I'm sure Captain Luffy will want to beat the boss here black and blue. So, truce? True. The front doors rocketed from their hinges with a clang, bouncing off the steps and carving trenches in the snow. In the broken doorway stood Amy, arrayed behind her the kidnapped crew members and a group of children. We're free, several of the kids yelled. running out into the sunlight despite their thin clothing and bare feet. "Wah, kids?" the Marines questioned. "Marines?" the pirates in the doorway echoed. "Smoker," Sanji gasped. "Mommy," Ace yelled, the boy wiggling in Sunny's grip. She clamped her hands on Ace's waist so he wouldn't fall into the water while she brought a rope down to carry him to the shore. "Ace," Nami called, disregarding the Marines as she made her way to the ship. Her child met her halfway, the young mother sweeping him into a fierce hug. "Oh, my baby, I'm so glad you're okay." "My body," a head declared in Kaku's grip. "So," Sunny began, directing her words to the stunned Commodore at her side, "the other kids are new. I hope we aren't adopting. I don't have room in my hold." "It's one go-to-damned problem after another today," the master muttered, hanging up the call that had informed him of the most recent thing to go wrong on his island in the last hour. The pirates were loose, the children were loose, his forces were taking losses, Monet was injured, the pirates' ship couldn't be moved, and now the Navy of all people were ready to knock on his door. The only potentially good thing would be if the Marines and the pirates decided to fight each other, but the symbol on the battleship announced that contingent as G5, possibly the most unpredictable of the Marine branches. Why does everything always happen all at once? It's hard enough to keep track of my projects and what lies I've told to which moronic minions. Sounds like you need a hand or two. The master turned to see a shadow leaning in his doorway. They were of average height with a dark coat as well as a white hat spotted with black in a pattern similar to what one might find on a snow leopard. In his hand was a sword almost as tall as he was. The man turned his shadowed face to the one known as the master. "So you've deigned to awaken, have you? Well, that explosion wasn't exactly easy to sleep through," the man shrugged. "I passed the destruction on the way here. That will be a pain to clean up." "The minions do a good enough job," the master commented with a shrug in his voice. "More importantly, we have pirates running around and the Navy is here. Go look into that." "What do you want me to do about it?" "I don't care," the master spat. "Just figure it out and eliminate the problem however you feel like it. Just make it so they won't get in the way of my research." "Got it." The man turned, walking away down the hallway. The master watched him go, a frown on his face. Something didn't feel right, but maybe that was the stress talking. Or maybe the headache coming on. "Just to clarify," Sunny reiterated, the fairy unmoved from where she had been upon her own railing overlooking the snowy shore. "We are not adopting, right?" "No, Sunny," Nami repeated beside her with a small grin and a roll of her eyes. "One is enough trouble. Thank you very much, even with everyone else helping." "So what do we do now?" "I don't know," Nami admitted. The pair looked out over the railing to see Ace running around with the other children while the Marines watched, many of them speaking in hushed voices about what, exactly, they were going to do in this situation. There were many a hand gesture involved, so the pirates imagined they were not all on the same page. "Now that we've found these kids, we can't just book it and leave them behind." "I mean, we could. You sound like Zoro." Nami couldn't help but laugh at the scandalized look that crossed Sunny's face at the comment. As much of a face that Sunny had at the moment, that is. In this case, the red coloring that mostly appeared where Nami suspected the Klabouterman's hair would be appeared where the cheeks would go. The fairy's mouth turning into an "oh Sunny," too, soon devolved into giggles. "I don't know how I feel about this team up," Jin admitted, savoring the taste of the tobacco on his tongue as he handed Sanji his cigarette back. He'd tried to resist his wants, but constantly smelling the smoke had reawakened his cravings. With nothing to do immediately in the future, most of their transponder snails confiscated upon their capture, and plans to be made by those of higher authority, Jin found himself beside the one member who had joined the crew the same day he had, the one with whom he felt he had a unique bond over the others. While the blonde had his back to the shore, the man's eyes closed as he looked up. Jin had his full weight on the railing as he leaned on his elbows. "Do you trust Smoker, Sanji?" "Not nearly as far as I could kick him," the runaway prince admitted, blowing smoke rings. His foot beat a regular thump 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 against the grass deck. "This whole island leaves a bad taste in my mouth. It doesn't feel right."
Something's obviously happening here. "That's not what I meant," Sanji said with a shake of his head, the rush of air causing the end of his cancer stick to brighten. He chewed on it. "Every other island we went to looked normal. At least for the first little bit, whatever it was. Hell, even Jaya was a pirate island as advertised."
There could be a warlord here, Jin thought aloud, keeping his eyes on the Marines below while ignoring Rum's suggestions that they were one wrong move from reneging on this uncomfortable truce. Only time we found an island this weird was Thriller Bark, and that was a right mess. What warlord could do this? Sanji didn't need to point, as the this he referred to was pretty obvious. This is far outside the Mo of Crocodile or Moria. Crocodile was kicked out a long time ago and Moria ain't a warlord no more, Jin told him. See, Trafalgar Law, Buggy the Clown managed to catch Navy's attention and accepted amnesty deals after Blackbeard quit and Moria went missing, bringing 6 warlords see back full strength. Moria's missing, Sanji blinked, turning to see Jin out of the corner of his eye. He offered his cigarette. Jin accepting the offer before handing it back. He blew his own smoke ring. Wasn't he a big player at the War of the Best? I heard about that from, he paused, shivering, Ivankov. Mori had disappeared after battle and was declared missing a few months later. If in government knows where he went, they ain't tellin'. No kidding? They'd considered addin' a 7th warlord, too. Tippin' balance o' power. But the guy got off by new Whitebeards for lying 'bout being their late captain's son. Apparently that's a major taboo for him.
I guess some of the new Whitebeards really can act like the pirate stereotypes if you press the wrong buttons. Sanji breathed out another puff of smoke before pulling the cigarette away. It had already burnt down to the stub, Sanji sighing and flicking it away.
Litterin'? Jin questioned. Really? I don't see an ashtray around here. Sanji held out another smoke. Jin sighing as he sparked electricity between 2 fingers, lighting it. Law, huh? Wasn't he one of the supernovas? I'm surprised he agreed to work for the Marines. Don't know why, Jin shrugged. So what's the list, then? Who might we see in the new world that we haven't already? 6 warlords are Don Quixote Doflamingo, Bartholomew Kuma, Boa Hancock, Buggy the Clown, Law, and Dracula Mahawk. 4 emperors are Red-Haired, Shanks, Beast King, Kaido, Big Mom, Charlotte Linlin, and White Whale, Moby. You know Admiral's gotta change, too. I know Kuzan quit and Akainu got promoted, Sanji nodded. Thing is, no one seems to know anything. Cause no one does. Mariners have been tight-lipped 'bout them and anyone who's met him ain't been around say nothing. I think they need the morale boost. What game are they playing? Meanwhile, the Marines' top brass locally were having something of a similar conversation. What had started off as a simple, go there, stop shit, mission had immediately devolved into something well outside their comfort zone. Sir, this is far outside our expectations, Tashigi hissed, the woman eyeing the pirates as they took stock of what, and who, was around. You can't really mean to respect this so-called truce with the Straw Hat Pirates, can you? And why should I not? The Logia questioned, his arms crossed. He tilted his head, one eye peeking out from his sunglasses to look at his second-in-command. Are Marines not men of their word, Captain Tashigi? Should we not do what we can to be truthful? But to pirates? She made a quick gesture toward the ship where the cat burglar and the Sunny's manifestation laughed about something. Several steps from them stood the Black Leg and the Electric Devil, the pair sharing a smoke, whilst the Soul King picked an ironically lively tune with his not-so-alive hands. If their stories were to be believed, the cyborg was somewhere within the ship, his actions causing the Klabouterman to wince or laugh periodically. The monster doctor stood in the snow, calling children from their play one by one to give them a checkup and ensure there were no injuries or diseases among them. Tashigi felt a twinge of thankfulness at the animal's care, considering the conglomerated medical knowledge of G5, outside that of smokers and her own, was limited to drinking away the pain and hoping some of the spillage would cleanse the wound. Such certainly explained why the unit had such a high turnover before they came along. G5 was still far from respectable as far as Marine units went, but it was a sight better than it had been. So let's say we do work together with this pirates, the woman began, her grip tightening on the handle of her shigur. Can we really be productive if we can't trust them? They're pirates. They'll stab us in the back as soon as they can get away with it.
I don't believe that they will, Tashigi, Smoker grunted with a shake of his head. Were it any other pirate crew, I would give your concerns more thought, but my gut tells me these pirates are not prone to backstabbing.
But, do I need to explain my reasoning, Captain? Smoker questioned, putting emphasis on her rank. Tashigi deflated a little but still stood tall, her sword shaking a little in its sheath. Please do, Commodore. Smoker closed his eyes, turning away from her as he looked up to the pirate flag flying above them. The skull thereupon almost taunted them with its smile, flapping in the chilling breeze. 2 years ago, during the Marineford War, you were with me when I confronted Tri-Horn on the stand. Do you remember that? Of course, sir. That conversation was completely against regulation.
I know. And now I know why. That talk, it changed the way I viewed pirates, changed the way I viewed piracy. It brought unsavory I'd had since my unearned promotion at Alabasta. It made me hesitate.
I don't understand, sir, Tashigi admitted. You've barely changed in our time with G5. You've never shown pity to pirates outside the basic human decency some of the men seem to lack. What makes the Straw Hats different? Smoker did not answer right away, the man blowing cigar smoke into the wind before turning around. Because they seem truly human, he answered. But aren't most pirates human? Most pirates have thrown away their humanity, but when I spoke to Tri-Horn upon that stand, he showed more humanity and humility than I've seen in many Marines to date. He spoke of a deep-rooted corruption that turned a Marine aspirant into one of the most wanted teenagers in the world. As a younger man, I watched as the king of the pirates was executed, starting the Great Pirate Era. I saw him on his knees, facing his death, and I saw him smile as he spoke the words that would send countless souls to their deaths over the next 2 decades. That was when I learned that all men carried a darkness in themselves. Greed, lust, wrath, and all other manner of wants that the weak allow to rule their lives. For the longest time, I believed that those who called themselves pirates had all succumbed to this darkness and that all who enlisted in the Marines found it in themselves to rise above this. Truthfully, I still believe in the latter when newbies still join, but Tri-Horn made me question all of that. After hearing his story, I simply needed to hear what Straw Hat had to say. I cornered him on the ice and questioned his reasons. I needed to know how his path began, and he admitted that he had no dreams of plunder or conquest. He admitted he only took to the sea for the freedom of it all and that Tri-Horn was his crew's greatest moral compass. What I've seen in the Grand Line, it has shown me that this darkness is not as conquerable as I used to think, that more than just Marines can find the light, that Marines can still fall into the darkness just as easily, and that the world is not so cleanly divided as I once thought it was. That, Tashigi, scares me. What are you trying to say, sir? Smoker sighed, looking back at his second, the woman that had followed him on his quest all the way from Logia Town. Captain Tashigi, what I am about to say will never make its way to the fleet admiral, nor to anyone who supports him. Am I clear? Sir, good. In that case, the hell do you mean my sister is missing in Terabang? A voice interrupted, the disembodied head of the Soul King smacking into the snow at their feet. Both Smoker and Tashigi jumped as the skull of the Soul King, an impossible lump growing from within its afro, plowed into the powder. The skull's jaw dropped. Have you been taking lessons from Sanji? Brooke questioned. That kick rattled my brain, or, it would have if I still had one. Yo ho ho. Skull joke, skull joke. Ace cheered. How curious, the reacclimated top half of the samurai beside the child muttered, his arms crossed. Perhaps I should be concerned about the permanent effects of the magic swordsman's attacks, lest I befall a similar fate. That's just Grandpa Brooke, the toddler waved off, his words calming the other children. He's a skelly cause he pinky promised to me to wail again. Ooh. The chorus of children nodded, as if that one sentence explained everything. That statement makes no sense, the half-a samurai muttered. Brooke, where the hell is my sister in Terabang? Amy demanded as she held the rest of the undead musician's skeletal body in her hand. Her backup parasol stabbed through its ribcage. As I said, Grace and Billy embarked on an observatory expedition some time ago, Brooke responded. They did not say when they would return. And you just let them go into a dangerous environment with unknown hostiles without saying anything? Of course not. The skull looked scandalized as much as a skull could. I wished them the best of luck. I'm on a crew of morons, the blonde declared, throwing Brooke's body aside. Now let's be reasonable here, Jin said, stepping away from the railing. Grace and Billy are tough, Amy. We know she can handle most anything world could throw it, and they can run away from anything they can't take. We gotta trust they're being smart about this. Considering her taste in men, I don't know if I can trust her to be smart. Ya don't need to say that about Horn, Kaku grumbled. At least not when he isn't here to defend himself. You don't want to get in the middle of this. Tag along, my sister is missing. We have more immediate things to worry about right now, Chopper interrupted. We've gotten the children out of the building and away from whatever was happening in there, but we don't have the resources to clothe them. At least, not with the clothes we were able to buy after beating the Neo Marines since they burned most of what we had. If you can procure leaves or stones, mayhaps I could be of assistance, the half-swordsman coughed. Can you make clothes? Ace questioned. Indeed I can, the man nodded. It is a skill I have possessed ever since accidentally eating a strange fruit. Upon doing so, I acquired this unique jutsu that has come in handy several times. At least that solves the clothing issue, Chopper commented as he and Ace moved to pick leaves off Sunny's various trees. Very good, the samurai said. Now everyone who needs a coat, place one leaf upon your head. The children did so, the group arrayed in a multi-layered semicircle around the half-man. Ace stood among them, wanting to be part of this show despite having his own winter gear. The samurai closed his eyes and focused, a low hum coming from him as his hands made a slow series of hand signs. What's he doing? One of the kids whispered. I don't know, another replied. The samurai's eyes snapped open, the man pushing his hands forward. Smoke encompassed the group, clearing quickly to reveal that each child now wore a back coat with red mittens and earmuffs. Oh my gosh, Mocha gasped. They're so warm, and he even got mittens. That's so cool, no legs guy. You must keep them on, the man warned. Once you take them off, the clothes will cease to exist. Alright, who the hell is this guy? Smoker demanded. Straw Hats, is he with you? Honestly, we don't even know his name, Nami admitted. Whoever runs this place took us captive and we broke out. This guy's head was in the same cell as us and we decided to bring him along. That's really it. You don't know anything else about him? He's apparently a samurai from Wano, the young mother shrugged. His actions lead to us answering a distress call here, so he's not aligned with whoever had these kids captive. Wano, Smoker muttered, a whole host of new thoughts and ideas circulating in his head as he turned his eyes to the serious man. I don't know what, but his presence outside the closed-off nation spells bad things for the future. Welcome to the Master's laboratory, the crocodile centaur said, his large hand waving to the inside of the room. It lacked any color, the walls a drab gray lined with lockers of the same color. Clothing hooks hung along the opposite wall, holding lighter coats for long-term indoor use as opposed to the thick, woolen coats. Gas masks hung beside the coats, each of the centaurs grabbing one. You all look cold. Go ahead and grab yourselves a coat and a mask. You're gonna need them. Thanks, Manadile, Luffy grinned, he and his crew each taking one of the offered articles. Please, call me Brownbeard, the largest centaur said. That's what the government called me until I hung up my flag to work for the master. Oh yeah, we didn't give our names. Oops, you can call me Luffy. The young father held out his hand as Brownbeard's eyes slowly widened, an open-mouthed and wide-eyed look covering his face. He was not alone as most of the other centaurs developed similar expressions, the ones farthest away whinnying as their hooves clomped on the concrete. L. Luffy, he Straw Hat, Luffy. The S son of D-Dragon, TH the pirate who took on the admiral's A and lived. B but then that M means, his eyes darted between two legs, recognition dawning. Yeah, these are my crewmates. That's Zoro and Robin and Usopp and Mary and Coby.
Why yes. We're very glad to have you on our island. His voice was clipped, the man now refusing to look them in the eye. Luffy didn't seem to notice, the young captain too engrossed in studying the surroundings. Would you like to meet the master?
That'd be great. Luffy threw on a coat striped horizontally red and blue before following after Brownbeard. The rest of the pirates hurried to grab coats of their own, Coby snagging an extra gas mask for Luffy since, if they were around, there would be a good chance they would be needed. Coby also grabbed an extra coat, bundling the dragon egg they'd found into it before tying the sleeves over his shoulder to make a sort of makeshift fanny pack, May-Dai carrier. When they caught up, Luffy was sitting on Brownbeard's crocodile back, the huge man tense. Luffy still had the legs balanced over his own shoulder. This place is huge. Mary laughed. Is this a research lab you guys stole from the government? I suppose you could say that, Brownbeard replied. He turned back, seeing the rest of the pirates crowding onto his back. I'm not a horse. But you know our destination, Robin rebuffed. Are you suggesting you are not strong enough to carry the lot of us? Of course I'm strong enough, the man insisted, a nerve touched. Just you watch, I'll get us to the master in record time. You're evil, Robin, Usopp muttered as their transport sped up, Luffy now clapping on his shoulder. You just don't want to walk. Is that a problem? The woman asked, a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes across her lips. In addition, I am still injured from our confrontation with the dragon. You just don't like it because you know the same thing works on you, Uncle Usopp, Mary offered. That is not true, Mary. Yes it is. Coby, help me out here. The Rosset turned, eyeing the ridiculous argument happening behind him. What do you want me to say, Usopp? He questioned. She's got you wrapped around her finger. She has since even before she was sentient. Wah, but that synopsis aligns with my own observations, Robin offered. I understand the person our crew received Mary from is important to you, so the logic stands. Zoro, you don't think that, do you? Usopp asked only for silence to answer him. The sniper's eyes widened slowly as his mouth fell into a worried frown. Zoro? Goddammit, Coby hissed. I take my eyes off him for one moment. Is there a problem? Brownbeard questioned. Luffy spun around. Oh, the captain blinked. It's nothing, Zoro's just missing again. Again? Don't worry about it. Luffy waved off. He does this all the time. He'll show up again soon enough. That does not reassure me, the centaur muttered under his breath. Coby straightened, his eyes narrowing as his gaze whipped to their right. Is something the matter, Coby? Robin inquired. No, the young man sighed with a shake of his head. I thought I sensed something familiar, but it's gone already. Must be Zoro-sensei wandering around. You can't feel him? Usopp asked. This is my first time having him in range when his sense of direction screws him over, Coby replied. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like he's everywhere and nowhere all at the same time. Like even his own presence doesn't know where he is. I didn't know it was even possible to get that lost. He'll come back when we need him, Luffy decided, ending that discussion. So Manadile, what brought you here? What? Their transportation blinked. Why are you on this island? Were you born here? Is that why you're a centaur? Well, no, the man admitted. This place was a world government research lab and I used to be a pirate. After a bad defeat, I got captured by the Marines and my crew and I were shipped here for experiments. When the fallout happened, we lost the use of our legs and the Song of Ice and Fire. The battle that changed the island left us on the verge of starvation. That's when the master came and granted us a way to walk again, so we swore our loyalty to him and have defended his island from the local monsters since. Later, a man came that could give us new legs, granting us these. Local monsters? Robin questioned. What sorts of creatures might that be?
All sorts of weird things. We'd been trying to kill that dragon until you all came along, but there was this big snake before that.
And this one thing the master called a manticore with a scorpion tail. And there was a chihuahua the size of a galleon. And a turtle that walked on 2 legs and breathed fire. We dropped it in lava and it just came back as a dry skeleton. And there was this scary flower monster with sharp teeth that liked to taunt us. We fought them all and they just laugh and laugh. Sounds like this land is prone to strange mutations, Coby commented. I couldn't tell you why, though. They seem to just happen. Brownbeard shrugged. Let me tell you, that flower had a nasty sense of humor. It took another dozen minutes before most of the group reached their destination, Brownbeard announcing their arrival as they stopped outside a metal door. The pirates climbed down, Coby feeling the presence of 3 someones on the other side with his observation. Brownbeard rapped on the door before opening it slowly. The inside looked almost like it was modeled after a bar, several couches set on a rug to the left and a counter with bottles stacked behind it on the right. A humanoid creature sat atop one of the padded stools, a frown over her face as a man in a yellow jumpsuit tended to several burns she had. The center point of the room, however, was the wispy, gaseous thing that floated before a table of vials and beakers. It was pink in color, maintaining its form as tentacles of gas moved to stir rods and mix vials. What is it? The gas asked. Visitors, master, Brownbeard answered. The gaseous thing paused. They seemed friendly and wanted to meet you. I see. The gas did not so much turn around as a face simply materialized from what was facing them. The eyes were little beads of fuchsia held in shadows that acted like sclera. The mouth was little more than an open pocket covered with great, rounded pieces of gas shaped similar to the polyps of flowers. Only these creations were the size of forearms. The mouth moved as the thing spoke, but not quite in time with the words. And who are our guests? Coby's hand twitched. He did not like the way that last word sounded. Hi, I'm Monkey D. Luffy, the captain said without a hint of hesitation. So you're this master guy, right? I am. What are you? Are you an alien? Do you want to join my crew? Do you poop? Stop asking monsters to join our crew, Luffy, Usopp yelled, smacking Luffy over the head. You can't call our host a monster, Uncle Usopp. Mary chastised. That's considered rude in most parts of the world. Well, he's certainly not human, so he's the same level of weird as Luffy, Frankie, and Brook. By that metric, I'm a monster too, Uncle Usopp. Now, that's not what I was saying at all, the sniper quickly backtracked. Are we ignoring that last question? Coby muttered, pinching the bridge of his nose. He sighed, turning his attention to the being and not on his bickering crewmates. Bad feeling or not, there was no excuse for such invasive questions inside someone's home. The Rosset gave a shallow bow. I'm so sorry about them. Their sense of decorum can be limited. Come on. Usopp, wouldn't it be so cool to have a cloud monster on the ship? I bet he and Nami would get along talking about wind and weather and stuff. Actually, it's possible he's scared of wind if he's really made of gas, Mary pointed out. That's not the point here, you too, Usopp protested. Is he a he? Luffy wondered or an it? I haven't seen it talking it before. Determining that could take a scientific study, Mary nodded. Although, aren't the legs a talking it? No, Luffy denied. The legs are a they, 'cause there's 2 of them. We could determine the SX of the legs, Robin suggested with a coy smile. Ew, gross, Mary gagged. Besides, we aren't talking about the legs right now. You're the one that brought up the legs, Luffy pointed out. You could just ask the gas what it goes by, Usopp pointed out. You know, that seems like a question that should come way before joining the crew or its potential bowel movements. I'm not asking him to move bowls, Usopp, Luffy laughed, you're stupid. You're the moron here, again. I am so sorry, Coby apologized. If you'll excuse me for a moment, the young swordsman turned, stepping over to the arguing trio. His hands balled into fists before he brought them down on each. Would you 3 imbeciles shut up and be nice in Terabang, we are guests right now. Ow, Usopp and Mary whined, holding their heads, while Luffy remained unaffected by the blunt force battery. Robin stood by, giggling. She. The rubber man laughed before he turned back to the gaseous conglomeration. So, do you want to join my pirate crew? I will respectfully pass, thank you, the master said. Ah. Okay. My, the winged woman at the bar chuckled. As I live and breathe, it's the Straw Hat Pirates. I can't say you live up to the whole bloodthirsty plunderers image. It's the bird woman, Usopp cried, stepping before Mary to shield her. We saw you on the burning side, Luffy said. Is that how you got hurt? Do you want to join my pirate crew? No, thank you, the harpy waved off. Oh, Luffy pouted. More importantly, who's calling us bloodthirsty plunderers? Coby demanded. We do not plunder. Well, look. The woman slid a newspaper over the counter, Coby walking over to take it with a quick word of thanks. Oh, it's a more comprehensive article to follow that emergency announcement about Ace. Looks like they even got some information from that Neo Marine debacle, too. Oh, is his picture in there? Luffy asked, all but running to the Rosset side. Yeah, right here. Luffy snatched the paper from Koby's hand, quickly folding it so Ace's picture was the center point. He then shoved that picture into the harpy's face. Isn't my son the cutest? He got his hair and smile for me, but he's got Nami's eyes. And he's smart, too. He can use Menis, Mullies, Maris, Robin. Multisyllabic, Captain. Yeah, multisilly words. Your progeny can converse while utilizing multisyllabic speech. The master questioned, his gaseous form leaning closer. How old is this child of yours? Less than 2. Luffy rounded, shoving the picture into the master's face. Look at how adorable he is. He's gonna grow up to be the freest prince to ever prince. Cause he's gonna be the prince of the pirates once I find the One Piece. The eyes of the master gained a disconcerting sheen at the answer. And, pray tell, what other skills does this son of yours possess? Robin's teaching him this super old language, and Zoro and Coby have started showing him how to fight with a sword. But he doesn't have a sword yet. And he can cook better than me with Sanji's help, and Chopper's teaching him doctoring, and Frankie's teaching him to build stuff, and Brooks teaching him a language called scales for music. He knows so much already. I see, the master said. What interesting information. I'll need to meet this boy myself. He might just be the sort of assistant I've been searching for. You could teach him too if you join my crew, Luffy offered. No, I don't think so, the master denied, his body rapidly expanding. Coby reached for the gas masks he'd brought, but both Brownbeard and the harpy acted as the master grew to encompass the whole room, taking the quickest of them captive. Sleep, pirates. Rest easy knowing I will bring the child to his full potential to overtake even Vegapunk himself. Shilololo, shalalololo. What shall we do with the samurai's legs, master? The harpy questioned as Usopp and Robin succumbed to the gas. Coby struggled in her talons hold, the sickly sweet aroma of the gas forcing its way down his nose even as he tried to not breath in. And with these new prisoners? I want to keep most of them, the master said as Mary lost her physical form. Lock them up, tighter than the others had been. Straw Hat, however, seems like too much of a risk. Injure him and dump him down the trash chute along with their weapons. That should remove him from the equation without jeopardizing the bond I'll form with my future assistant. And the legs? Throw them down the chute, too.
Shit, Coby cursed, fighting to keep his eyes open. He reached for his swords, but his arms felt heavier, the air around him growing colder. He looked to the side to see the pale face of the harpy smiling at him from between the zone and his captain. She had one wing draped around Luffy's shoulders, the russet coming to the conclusion her other was on him.
Peace, she whispered. Let the cold embrace you. Coby blacked out. Billy flinched as he painstakingly put one foot in front of the other, red matting his yellow feathers with drops of the stuff leaving a line to a hole in the snow. His one open eye squinted into the snow, the other closed and bruised as blood dripped down. Girl Makes Colors was draped over his saddle, the girl unresponsive but breathing when last he checked. The gigafowl extended one wing only to tuck it back against his side. Several of his flight feathers had been burned away from the explosion, and the resulting avalanche that had swept them up had not been kind. He muttered bird curses toward both Girl Makes Colors and their current predicament as a result of her explosion, but he still readily admitted it was better than being dead at the talons of Green Woman Has Wings Speaks Bird. Billy cast his eyes around, only white interspersed with the occasional gray meeting his gaze. That gave him a direction for the mountain, which meant Floating Nest now alive was docked on the other side, probably. Wah, the large bird sighed, his trail marked by the disturbed snow and the spots of red. His orange peacock tail folded toward his head, covering Girl Makes Colors in an attempt to help preserve some of her heat lest she have lasting effects from the sub-zero temperatures around. Wah wah, wah wah. Wah wah wah, wah wah. Bleg. Billy continued to wander as he complained, internally wondering of the current positions of his flock. Yellow Woman Smells Sweet would not be happy about the outcome of their expedition, but that was not his fault. Girl Makes Colors is the one who made too much of that explosive. Where the hell did the others go? A familiar voice questioned, turning Billy's head toward his left. They went and got themselves lost, didn't they? What morons. Wah? Billy followed the voice, slowly penetrating the white veil of the snow until the green of a familiar swordsman came to the foreground. Billy found himself looking down on the first mate. Angry Moss Cuts things standing in the midst of a giant indentation in the snow. Billy felt his eyes widen as he recognized the shape as that of a footprint larger than Angry Moss was tall. Wah, wah. Angry Moss blinked, turning his gaze upward. Billy? The hell are you doing here? I thought you were back on the sunny. Wah! The gigafowl leapt from the ledge he'd been standing on, the bird gliding downward to all but tackle the green-haired swordsman. Tears iced beside his eyes until Billy buried his head in Angry Moss's stomach, trying to hug him. What's wrong with you? The man demanded. Billy sniffed, slowly opening his tail feathers to show the injured form of Girl Makes Colors. Shrimpet? Angry Moss questioned. He moved his hand under her nose, relaxing. She's still breathing. What happened? Wah. Wah wah, wah 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 wah, wah. I understood none of that, Angry Moss said. Billy sighed with his unhurt wing and drew slow symbols into the snow nearby. So that happened, the man nodded, Billy suppressing any sign of surprise he might show that angry Moss could read. So, Grace caused an explosion that you two got caught up in. Lucky for you, I know where we're going. Wah? Billy gave a quick, pained squawk as the swordsman hoisted the bird onto his shoulders. Come on, Sonny's this way. Billy swallowed a nervous gulp as the man started walking away from the mountain. Unbeknownst to the pair, another pair watched them move through the snow, these individuals perfectly blended with the surroundings. One watched through a set of binoculars while the other held a transponder snail, the invertebrate far smaller than even his finger. We've got eyes on three, the one holding the snail said. They've got a cool walk ahead, due east toward the ocean. Keep your eyes on them, the voice on the other end of the call ordered. I'll be there soon. Best to start with the smallest group before heading to the large one. Roger that. So, Smoker, Nami began. Since we're allies, she stressed the word in such a way as to send a shiver down the backs of the Commodore and his underling captain. What can you tell us about this Wano place? Is there a particular reason you wish to know? The Marine questioned. He crossed his arms, eyes narrowing at the female pirate. I hope you don't deign to think your small crew has the capability of invading the closed-off nation. Well, no, she agreed. And we certainly don't plan on invading anywhere unless they come after us first. But, I suppose it's harmless and not really a secret, so I'll tell you our reasons. My dream, the reason I first joined Luffy and the crew to head into the Grand Line, is to draw a map of the whole world. The whole world? Tashigi parroted, one eyebrow quirking. But we have world maps already. Correction, you have world maps, the navigator said. And I've seen them. Their accuracy is questionable and their production value is crap. Your so-called world maps are just a whole bunch of different maps slapped together in the hopes that they fit. I am going to make one full, comprehensive map. You became a pirate for the sake of cartography? Smoker grunted, really? Well, yes and no, Nami answered, one hand coming up to hold her tattoo. See, I've always loved making maps even when I was little. My mother, not my actual mother but the woman that took me and my sister in, was killed by Arlong when his band of merry morons attacked and practically forced me into working for them. While out at sea, I ran into Luffy, bright-eyed and hopeful and with big dreams and nothing to hold him back. I tried to double-cross the crew, but he came to my village and kicked Arlong out. He never gave up on me even when I wanted him to. That's why I joined him and became a pirate, but only because he was. If he'd been a Marine, I would have joined the Marines, Nami shrugged. While we're trading information, Tashigi put in, if I may ask, your son. Ace? What about him? Is he really Straw Hats? I don't like your insinuation, Nami said. Her eyes drifted over the snow to where Ace was building snowmen with the other children. Mocha, the giant girl with black hair, was holding Ace up so he could stand on her hands, the boy drawing a face onto a snowman the same size as the girl. His eyes were squinted, his tongue poking out, as he kept glancing back to study her face. Nami smiled. But yes, Ace is Luffy's biological son. Would it make any difference if the answer was no? Possibly, Smoker replied, stone-faced. Did he not possess the same genetics as Straw Hat or Dragon? It's possible his bounty could be lessened, putting him in less danger. Smoker, our lives are nothing but danger, Nami chuckled. And Luffy wouldn't have it any other way. He and his brother's childhoods were nothing but making mischief, like hunting crocodiles for food and wrestling tigers. Ace is just making mischief on multiple islands. That's what you all are doing, Tashigi pointed out. Wait, brothers? As in plural? And, Nami grinned, ignoring the last question. Usually, the mischief finds us and we have to respond. Speaking of possible mischief, you didn't answer my question. What do you know about the country of Wano? I don't know anything, the Commodore grunted. I don't believe that for a moment, Smoker. Sonny heard you mention it, so you know something. Only speculation, I'm afraid. He let out a hard breath, smoke from his cigars getting lost in the falling snow. Wano has been closed off for as long as the government has known about it. Any attempt to enter and open the country has been repelled by the country's powerful samurai. The man's eyes drifted to the legless human that claimed to be one of these legendary warriors. So far, I can't say I'm impressed, but 25 years ago, the Emperor, Beast King, Kaido moved in and took over the country. We haven't been able to touch him since. Kaido in Terabang. The question caused Nami and both of the Marines to jump, the samurai having silently approached them by walking on his hands in lieu of not having legs. His eyes were quirked at different levels, a scowl on his face. What do you know of that despicable interloper? You're from the place. You should have more information than me. Who even are you? Ah, I suppose I failed to introduce myself. He offered a bow. I am Kinemon, a loyal retainer of the true shogun of Wano. Marine Commodore Smoker, the other man responded, nodding his head to remain cordial. This is my second, Captain Tashigi. A pleasure, Tashigi said with her own bow. So, you are not pirates? We are not, Smoker confirmed. In fact, we work for an organization that captures dangerous pirates. And anyone they deem a criminal just for existing or disagreeing with them, Nami muttered. Smoker's jaw tightened. I will have you know, cat burglar, that your crew's lives are in my hands. Should I give a single call, a full-scale assault could be brought down on this island simply to capture your band of misfits. They've already tried that once, Nami reminded him with a smirk and a dismissive wave. It didn't go too well for you all before. Have they rebuilt that place yet? Do not be so flippant about it, Tashigi hissed, a hand on her blade. People died because of your actions there. And you can blame your little hit squad for that, Nami shot back. Or do I need to bring up what happened at Ohara? Ohara disappeared as a result of their own experiments. They were trying to turn themselves into demons to overthrow the world government. There is a government that spans the world? Kinemon blinked as Nami let out a harsh, dry laugh. Is that what they told you? Nami questioned with a thinly veiled sneer. I guess that would work on a stupid government dog like you. What did you just call me? Yeah, nope, Nami continued, ignoring the woman's tightened jaw. Truth is, your beloved fleet admiral raised it to the ground with a buster call because they were studying the poneglyphs and the Void Century. That's not true, Tashigi insisted, pulling Shigur from its sheath. Nami's eyes drooped, the woman leaning back on one leg as the sunny behind her raised ropes and shifted cannons. The pirates aboard her shifted, showing their own readiness should conflict break out. Tashigi, stand down, Smoker ordered. If this truce between us breaks, I refuse to let it be us that attacks first. A female swordsman? Kinemon blinked. I did not think such a thing was possible. The female body is too frail for such a thing. What? Said swordswoman hissed, turning on the samurai. What sort of backwater country is Wano? We are not backwater, Kinemon yelled. We are a proud country with traditions that date back centuries. I'm with the Marine on this one, Nami commented. Thinking like that is incredibly outdated. Besides, Zoro would have your head for that insinuation. He would? Tashigi questioned. I do not know this Zoro of whom you speak, but if he is of the same level as a female swordsman, I cannot say he is very strong. Everyone, we have a problem, Sunny announced, getting the attentions of those in the area before the brewing argument could escalate. She materialized on the railing, giving the pirates and marines a figure to focus on. I felt Captain Luffy and most of his group in the base, but they just blinked out. I'm worried something happened to them. Can you define something? Amy asked. Yeah, I can. Some kind of thing, probably of the bad sort. Real helpful. Ask stupid questions to the fairy, that's part you. Get your own sass in response, Sunny replied. What do we do now? Don Luffy ain't here and Zoro's first mate, Jin put in. Down chain. I think that brings us Donna. That sounds like an impressive title, Kinemon commented. Similar to a daimyo. Whom among your warriors bears such an honor? That would be me, wise guy, Nami announced, Kinemon's mouth dropping. She turned, cocking her hip to the side. Sunny, where you sense them? Somewhere on the 3rd level, the Clabouterman answered. They aren't dead. I can sense that much, and we know the enemy has access to a powerful knockout gas. It's possible they fell into a trap. Not that surprising, Sanji commented, his casual attitude raising the eyebrows of the Marines. What? It was a group led by Luffy and the Mosshead. They were bound to get lost and do something stupid, even with Robin Schwan there. Unfortunately, I'm inclined to agree, Nami sighed. We didn't want to call before for fear it would give them away. Now we can't call because the enemy has a hold of our snails and possibly theirs now. Any word on Grace? None, Sunny said with a shake of her spectral head. That worries me, too. Perfect, Nami sighed. Alright, looks like some of us are going back in to save the morons. Who wants in? The freezing snow and biting wind lashed against their exposed skin, even with their thick coats doing their best to keep the pirates warm. Whatever tracks Zoro had made as he carried Grace and Billy along were quickly lost in the snowstorm, leaving them unable to retrace their steps even visually, much less do so physically, and Billy had no illusions that Zoro was walking in a straight line considering the change in the wind's direction and his own track record. The trio's 2.5 sets of eyes only saw an endless expanse of white. Zoro, Grace groaned over his shoulder, having awoken with a pounding headache several minutes ago. Her powers were already working to relieve it. I have a bad feeling about this. Chill. I'm doing nothing but chilling, she shot back. That's sort of the problem. I know where we're going, the swordsman insisted, though his words did nothing to ease the devil fruit user's worries. Look, worst comes to worst, we'll find a cave, cut the duck open, and use his warmth as our own. Wah, Billy protested, struggling. Wah 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 wah, wah wah. I'm joking, Zoro waved off. Mostly, wah. The hell is with you and Sanji calling our animals food and supply? Grace groaned. First Sanji with Chopper being the emergency food supply and now you threatening to cut Billy open. Nami would have your head for that, you know. That sea witch can groan all she wants. The swordsman verbally waved off. Speaking of sea witches, how are you holding up, anyway? You just don't like redheads, do you? That's not what I said. Well, I'm not 100% if that's what you're asking, the girl responded with a grunt. I think I've cracked a rib or two and my ankle hurts. But the settling hypothermia is doing wonders as a painkiller. I can barely feel anything. From what Billy said, it's your own fault. I didn't think I made that much explosive, she huffed. It's not my fault that corridor was smaller than I thought it was. Wah, Billy muttered with a roll of his eyes. Oh, not you, too. I get it wasn't my finest moment, Billy, but we all have those. Well, I guess this means we have a bit of a problem, Zoro commented. When the others got lost, they were on their way to talk to the boss of this island's monster people. You're the one who got lost, dumbass. I did not. The world just moved around me. I can't be blamed for that. You can and you will be. Now tell us what you know about these monster people. We ran into centaurs, Zoro said, both Grace and Billy jerking at the response. Like the mythological people with horse bodies below the waist? Not just horses. We fought a guy with the body of a giraffe and Luffy befriended this former pirate with the legs of a crocodile. A former pirate? Grace blinked. I thought you said they were locals. I don't know their backstory or history. I was barely listening when Coby said this was the island where two admirals fought. I just want to fight the samurai. Think for once in your life. If this is the island where Aokiji and Akainu fought, then there shouldn't be any local population. If that's the case, then you're too close to figuring it out. Zoro spun toward the voice, nearly dropping Billy before stopping his instinctive reach for his swords. Snow crunched as a figure in black stepped out of the storm, a sword as long as he was tall hanging behind his back. The man had a short, dark goatee and a white hat with black spots that shaded his eyes. His mouth was set in an ambivalent frown. You all should have stayed away. If you all hadn't sent out a distress signal, we would have, Zoro replied. Who the hell are you? Currently, that is none of your concern. I disagree, Grace commented. There was a moment of pause. Zoro? Could you turn so I can actually see him? I don't think I can actually get answers out of him if he can only see my butt over your shoulder. Not like there's much to look at anyway, the Verde snarked. Do not compare me to Robin, you closeted perv. Don't call me that, shrimphead. I'm not a shrimp, you overgrown hedge. Just because I'm not as tall as some of the others does not make me short, and just because I'm not as developed as some of the others does not make me flat. Wah, see? Billy agrees with me. Excuse me, can you have this argument later? The figure questioned. I didn't say any of that and neither of us speaks bird, for all we know, he's agreeing with me. You just suggested cutting him open and using his warmth, Billy's obviously on my side. Wah, the figure blinked slowly, his frown deepening. This is ridiculous, he sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose with the hand that was not holding his sword. A pocket within his coat vibrated, the man pulling a transponder snail from inside. Yes? I'm glad Coby didn't learn manners from you, Grace growled. Of course not, Zoro shot back. I taught him something that's actually important, manners won't save you in a fight. No, but they might help you avoid one entirely. I understand, the figure said to the snail. The Yetis and I will get right on that. He let the snail go back to sleep, sliding it back into his pocket. None of the arguing pirates seemed to notice as he raised his hand up until it was level with his chest. Silently, an aura of blue surrounded them. The duck of the trio stiffened. Wah, wah, wah. I swear I will drop you in the snow and let you crawl back to the sunny on your twisted ankle. I don't care what Coby has to say about it, Zoro warned. Billy struggled in his grip but could not escape the green-haired man's tight hold. Do it, Grace replied. I'll still beat you there, you'll find yourself on the other side of the red line before you get back to the sunny on your own. If they will not take me seriously, then I will do them the same lack of courtesy, the figure said. Wah, Billy tried once more to no avail, shambles. And things moved. Alright everyone, Nami announced. We've just been issued a rescue mission. Don and others are in trouble, Jin nodded. We can't just leave their fates. If they lay a hand on even a hair of Robin, Schwan or Mary's heads, I'll fillet them for the Sea Kings, Sanji muttered. Horn and Mary are the only real friends I've got, Kaku admitted. If I can do something for the both of them, of course I will. Mommy, Ace called, running over to grab the hem of Nami's coat. Mommy, I want to help save Daddy. Oh, Ace, the navigator sighed, getting to her knees. She reached forward, setting one gloved hand on Ace's head. The bad people inside the building will be really dangerous. I can't have you rushing in even to save your father. Leave this to the grown-ups, okay? But I want to help Daddy, the boy whined. I understand that, Ace, but it's too dangerous for you. Choppy got to go into the dangerous place. Chopper was taken along with the rest of us, Nami countered, trying to keep her annoyance out of her voice. Even so, there was a tightness in her jaw. And he's plenty older than you are and has fought through more adventures with us. But you won't let me fight. Ace fell backward as he waved his fists and feet. Mommy's not being fair. I want to help save Daddy, meanie. Nami sighed, letting her face fall into one hand as she let her son throw his little tantrum. Perhaps not arresting them is the greater punishment, Toshigi muttered as she observed the scene. I certainly don't envy the cat burglar right now. This is why I hate working with brats, Smoker agreed. And to think that child already has a bounty. It makes one question the priorities of the world government. And for a decent amount of money, too, Toshigi recalled. They must be worried he'll grow up to be a major danger. With role models like the Straw Hat Pirates, I can see why. But is that a good enough reason? The Commodore questioned, causing his second to turn from the screaming child to him. Is it right of the government to attempt to dispense justice to a child whose only crime is existing, for being born to pirate parents? Well, Toshigi trailed off, a sidelong glance at the criminal mother and son giving her no answers. Did Firefist not prove such a point? And he himself did not have the guidance of his father. Yet the government would have hunted him down had they learned of his heritage, even if he never made a name for himself, pirate or not. And you would have been on the raid if ordered to. Am I wrong, Toshigi? She deflated a little. No, sir, I suppose I probably would have. Ace, I said no, Nami insisted, lifting the boy from the snow-covered ground. You will stay here with Sunny and the other children while I lead the group to rescue your father. But no buts, young man. Fine, Ace pouted, frowning as he turned his face away. Anyone looking could see he was not the least bit happy with the decision. Nami let out another sigh, bundling the still unhappy child against her chest as she turned to her crewmates. I'll take Sanji, Jin, and Kaku with me, she decided. Frankie and Brooke, can you two man the Sunny while we're gone? Keep the kids happy and the Marines in check? Hey, several of the Marines called. She's not wrong, Toshigi frowned. Leading this group is already like running a never-ending daycare. Captain, that hurts. Chopper, keep looking over the kids to make sure they're healthy, Nami continued as she walked up the gangplank. Their weapons, those who didn't have replacements on the ship anyway, were still inside. The only replacement, however, was Nami's old Klima. She set her son down on the bench. And Amy, I trust you want to stay here to wait for Grace to come back? Perfect measurement, the blonde nodded with a snap of her fingers. Besides, we don't know what else is out there. It's best to have one powerhouse here in case something comes around. Is that likely? Chopper asked with a waver in his voice. Chances are 50-50, I'd say, Jin shrugged. Get ready, Nami said. I'll grab my spare Klima and then we can take off. I hope she doesn't think you all can leave without us, Smoker grunted from the island. Toshigi and I will be going as well to make sure you pirates don't double-cross us. It almost sounds like you don't trust us, Sanji commented, tapping his steel-toed shoe against the deck. We don't, Toshigi told him. Our men will watch yours and you can watch ours. That will keep everyone in line. Her nose crinkled at the end, as if the idea of pirates keeping her regiment of Marines any sort of in line left a sour taste in her mouth, no matter how true it was. I suppose that's fair, Jin muttered, his cigarette going out with a hiss as he pushed its lit end into the snow sitting on the railing. He flicked it over the edge, earning a glare from the female Marine. What? I think she's glaring at you because of the littering, Sanji chuckled. Weren't you just chastising me about that? You were right, though, Jin shrugged. No one's round here to care. Something tugged at the hem of his coat, the monk turning his eyes downward. I'm sorry, the voice of Grace said, Zoro's body shifting to gesture toward where the man in black had faded back into the snowy background. Who the hell was that? He looked familiar, a very squeaky voice responded. Grace's body shifting. It froze, one hand coming up to her lips. Wait a second. My beak's missing. And I can hear my words in your language. Wah, Billy grunted, his voice far deeper than normal. What do you mean you're? Zoro stiffened, gently kneeling to set the girl and ducked down. One hand came up, pointing at the girl. Who are you? I'm Billy, her body said, head tilting. You sound strange. Angry Moss cuts things. That's because I'm Grace, Zoro Grace told him. But if you're Billy and I'm Grace, that means, both pirates turned to the last of their trio, the duck staring at them with clear discontent. Zoro? Wah, the bird growled, flapping his wings. Wah 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 wah. You be careful with my wings, Grace Billy yelled. I won't heal right if you're waving it around like that. Wah wah. Billy Zoro rolled his eyes. I'm not a pansy for feeling pain, Angry Moss. That guy switched our bodies, Zoro Grace pointed out. Can we stop fighting for a second to figure this out? Angry Moss and girl makes colors arguing is what got us here in the first place. Grace Billy commented with a wheeze, pointing at the two of them. The duck turned human seemed to falter, brows furrowing as one hand shifted so one pointed at themselves. Grace Billy shook their head. Whatever, I tried to tell you that guy was doing something, but you had to keep arguing. Wah, wah, Billy Zoro said. No, it was a stupid argument. Like it or not, it happened, Zoro Grace interjected. Considering factors, this must be the result of a devil fruit, so the only way we're going to reverse this is to make that guy do it. They shifted, tugging at their pants. Damn it, Zoro. How do you guys live like this? It's so uncomfortable. Wah wah wah. I can't explain it, Grace Billy shrugged. I don't wear pants. And for both our sakes, you better keep mine on if you know what's good for you, Billy. Now can we go somewhere? It's cold out here in just a jacket. Wah, you shut up, Zoro. I don't care if you're in Billy's body, I will send you through an emotional gauntlet. Can you, girl makes colors? Grace Billy questioned. Crap. Zoro Grace hung her head in a show of emotion never before seen on the body's face. My devil fruit powers are probably in my body, which means I can't use them right now. Grace Billy raised their hands, eyes narrowing as they tried to focus. A beat passed. Wah, shish, the animal soul in a young woman's body insisted, going back to focusing. I'm trying to concentrate. You have no idea what you're doing, do you? Zoro Grace questioned. No, Grace Billy sighed. Chemicals are way different from my electricity. Well, that's just perfect. You can't use my powers, Zoro's got no thumbs, and I'm sitting here with 3 swords I don't know how to use. Wah, not helping, Zoro, can we just get moving already? I'd like to move if I didn't have this twisted ankle, Grace Billy pointed out. You did not say how painful that is and the cold really isn't helping. You're a liar, girl makes colors. So, our pain tolerance isn't connected to our bodies, Zoro Grace muttered with a roll of their eyes. Fine, alright. I'll carry you, me, whatever. Goda, I hate body swapping. It makes everything so confusing. Wah, whine all you want, Zoro. I can't understand you. But I can and it's not helping, Grace Billy said. You're a bird for now, get over it. Wah, I'll carry you both, Zoro Grace offered, reaching down to lift both of her companions. Wah, Billy Zoro protested. We don't need you getting lost with my body, Grace Billy commented, sitting on Zoro Grace's shoulder. Honestly, I'm afraid of getting painfully lost, being stuck in Zoro's body and all, Zoro Grace admitted. Billy, can you be my sense of direction? Why saluted. Wah, the swordsman turned bird grumbled. Once more, unto the breach, Kaku commented as the rescue group stepped through the door into the compound. To his left were Nami, Sanji, and Jin from the Straw Hats, and to his right were the Marine Smoker and Toshigi as well as the Samurai Kinemon, the legless man striding along by walking on his hands. If the cold floor bothered him, he didn't show it. Alright, we're looking for a staircase, Nami said. Sunny said Luffy and the others were on the 3rd floor when she sensed them, so I doubt whoever's in charge is gonna move them too far. Makes sense to me, Sanji nodded. Navigating this place is gonna be a pain in the ass, though. Everything looks the same. I agree, Kinemon nodded. I do not understand this world of metal buildings you have. It is very perplexing, but I must find my son in this maze of steel and danger. You're looking for your son? Toshigi questioned. Why didn't you mention that before? My apologies, but I was quite wrapped up in the emotions of having found my arms again. There are epiphanies to be had after the inescapable powerlessness that comes with the loss of your body. I hear that's what it's like for devil fruit users when they fall in water, Nami commented. I mean, Luffy couldn't explain it in so many words, but when he describes it as the opposite of freedom, that's a pretty big deal. So, freedom is a major concern for Straw Hat? Smoker inquired. Speaking to the man himself was one thing, but speaking to his closest companions was the best way to divine his truest beliefs. How does he define that? Freedom is everything to Luffy, Nami replied. It's why he set out as a pirate in the first place despite his grandfather's wishes. He and his brothers just wanted to be free to do whatever they wanted, and that's why Luffy and his brother Ace set out at different times. Luffy said they didn't want to be stuck on the same adventure. Then they wouldn't have anything to talk about when they met on the ocean. But what is freedom to Straw Hat? Smoker pressed as the group rounded a corner. Is it a lack of rules? A lack of morals? Luffy's not the kind of person to put his ideas into words, Nami replied. She cast her mind back to the one time Luffy did voice his thoughts on the subject. He, she, Usopp, Mary, and Chopper having just watched the death of Dr. Hogback from around a corner. To Luffy, freedom is not having anyone tell him what to do and damn the consequences to come because of that. That's why he's aiming for the title of Pirate King. Because no one in the world can tell the Pirate King what to do. A Cheshire grin spread over her lips. Well, except for me, of course. So did he lie to me when he spoke of raiding Mariajoy in the future? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, Nami shrugged. We probably will if given half a chance. Luffy kind of does whatever he wants on a whim, Sanji put in. If you piss him off, he'll punch you or kick your ass and that's that. Coby wants to abolish the Sabaody slave trade, though. And as Luffy's Nakama, our dreams are his. That lines up with what Straw Hat told me 2 years ago, Smoker sighed. I hate to admit it, but you lot might be better than most pirates out there. We aren't just better, Nami chuckled, we're the best. Yeah. The group slowed to a stop, each and everyone turning their eyes on the silent monk among them. Jin swallowed, his lips pursed together as he tried to remain calm. Jin? Nami asked. Is there something you want to tell me? The lightning man gulped, his hands fidgeting while hidden in the sleeves. The rustling of the cloth gave such away. I am sure I don't know what you're talking about, Donna. Jin, you didn't, Sanji sighed, a hand running through his hair. I told you to tell him no. I did, the monk insisted. Well, I tried, but, Jin sighed, slowly opening his coat to reveal Ace clinging to his robes within. The boy at least had the decency to look sheepish. Hi, mommy, he stuttered, climbing down. He hid behind Jin's legs, clearly preparing for his mother's wrath. Jin! Nami yelled. I explicitly told Ace he could not come. What were you thinking, Interrobang? Jin frowned, slumping a little. I just couldn't say no young master. He said he'd hate me if I did. Little kids always say that, Nami growled, pinching the bridge of her nose. Gosh darn it, Jin. You're such a puppy. It's too late to turn back now and anyone would get lost in these halls. Sunny knew, too, Ace said. She could have stopped us, but I promised her a story. Of course you did. So I can come, too? Ace tried. For now, his mother agreed, but we are going to have a long talk about this later. You too, Jin. Yay! The toddler cheered, unconcerned for the trouble he got his uncle in. Adventure. The trio appeared out of nowhere, the group by the Sunny needing several seconds to register their presences before they could properly react. The man at the head of the trio stepped forward, his black coat a stark contrast to the snow. Who are you? One of the Marines demanded, pulling his sword from its sheath. The man did not respond, only giving the Marine a side glance for his question. Two mounds rose on either side of him, becoming white fur-covered giants that stopped the Marine in his tracks. The man studied the area, taking note of the group of children, the Marines, the pirates, and the two ships docked by the shoreline. I'm here for the heir of chaos, he announced. Give me the child and no one will get hurt. First question, who the hell do you think you are? Amy demanded from the rigging of the Sunny. Second question, what the hell makes you think you can walk up and demand our captain's son? This will be easier for all of us if you just comply, the man said, raising his hand as a ring formed above his palm. I'd rather not traumatize the kids with a fight. Oh shit, that's Trafalgar Law, one of the Marines hissed. What's a warlord doing here? Oh, you're one of the new warlords, Amy grinned. She stepped away from the rigging, her mass slowly increasing to bring her to the earth gently. It was gentle, until the end where she fell, cratering where she landed. Her hands rose, the blonde cracking her knuckles. I've heard you're pretty strong. Care for a match? I would rather not. Law vanished, Amy's fist blasting snow from where he'd been standing. The giants on either side pulled guns from their sides but didn't seem sure what to do. Amy stood, the burn scars running up her arms turning black as she covered them with armament hockey. What's wrong, warlord? Amy asked. Scared to fight a girl? Law sighed, drawing his sword. What a pain. Yeti cool brothers, attack.